Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. We're going to have to get things on and popping very, very quickly because they already started. Yeah, man, there's some interesting news. The defense has officially rest. The defense has rest. So that means we're not going to hear anything from the Heard side anymore, which is wild, wild ass news. Just so you guys know, before we get things on and popping here, like I said, this is absolutely incredible. Let's jump into this. Good morning, everybody. Hope you guys are all doing well out there and enjoying your day. You know, this is day 21 of the craziness, and we're wrapping this thing up. We got 3 more days after today, and then it's all she wrote. They have now, we have Ben Chew up on the stand. We're going to hear what he has to say. So real quick, hit that like button down below, crush that like button, send those likes all the way up. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And let's hear what they have got to say right now.
Whether it was false or not. C. Sanders v. Harris, 213 Virginia, 369 at 372, a 1972 case. See also Jackson v. Hartig, 274 Virginia at 2019. Reckless disregard, as Your Honor is aware, quote, is not measured by whether a reasonably prudent person would have published or would have investigated before publishing, ellipsis. There must be sufficient evidence to permit the conclusion that the defendant, in fact, entertained serious doubts as to the truth of his publication, unquote. St. Amant versus Thompson, 390 U.S. Supreme Court, 727 at 731. Your Honor, the evidence shows that Ms. Heard cannot prevail on her claim because she cannot and did not establish that Mr. Waldman made the statements with actual malice. Mr. Waldman testified that he conducted extensive investigation and reasonably believed that the 3 statements he made were true. Ms. Heard presented nothing to contradict that undisputed fact. Ms. Heard has no evidence of direct liability because obviously, Your Honor, we need to talk about direct and vicarious liability, but it bears noting that she has no evidence of direct liability and cannot prove actual malice by Mr. Waldman when making the 3 statements at issue. It is undisputed that Mr. Depp did not make any of the 3 statements at issue in Ms. Heard's counterclaim. Moreover, in order for Mr. Depp to be liable for the conduct of one of his attorneys, there must be some showing that he directed, participated, or otherwise authorized Mr. Waldman to make the statements at issue.
Good morning, Kathleen
no
on
such
Facebook.
Evidence on the record.
Good morning,
Mr.
everybody.
Depp directed or otherwise
Thank y'all for coming in.
Mr. Waldman to make the 3 allegedly defamatory statements at issue.
No, these are not closing arguments.
Indeed, there is no evidence of any communication
I think they're trying to do a motion to strike
between Mr. Depp and Mr. Waldman regarding the counterclaim statements or anything else. For this reason as well, Your Honor, Ms. Heard cannot meet her burden of proving that Mr. Waldman was acting within the scope of his employment as our agency on behalf of Mr. Depp. Again, it bears noting that there's no evidence that Mr. Depp even saw the statements by Mr. Waldman until he was served with the counterclaims well into this case. It was more than a year after Mr. Depp filed his complaint, and Ms. Heard lost a series of motions to dismiss that she finally asserted her counterclaims, most of which have already been dismissed by opinion letter of this court. Whereas here, there is no evidence of direct liability, Ms. Heard must rely on a theory of vicarious liability to hold Mr. Depp liable for the actions or statements, rather, of his purported agent, Mr. Waldman. Vicarious liability is by definition, quote, liability for the tort of another person, unquote. So to hold Mr. Depp liable for Mr. Waldman's statements, Ms. Heard must establish that Mr. Waldman himself committed all the elements of defamation. I know the court's familiar with this, so I'll try to run through it quickly. C. Parker versus Carillon Clinic, 296 Virginia 319 at 332, a 2018 case, quote, vicarious liability is liability for the tort of another person. It necessarily follows that a claimant cannot make out a case for vicarious liability against an employer without first proving that the employee committed a tort within the scope of his employment. See also Roughton Pontiac Corp. Versus Alston, 236 Virginia 152 at page 156, which standard Ms. Heard has not met. And Your Honor, we cite a string citation to cases from other jurisdictions, which we obviously are not binding on the court, but we believe are influential. We presented those to the court for its review. It is Ms. Heard's burden to prove by clear and convincing evidence, or ultimately, to prove actual malice by Mr. Waldman, not Mr. Depp. And while it is well settled law in Virginia, as Your Honor has pointed out last week, that an agent's knowledge can be imputed to a principal, and this is the Allen Realty Corp. Versus Holbert case, 227 Virginia 441 at 446. Ms. Heard's counsel cannot cite any case law stating that a principal's knowledge is imputed to an agent. In other words, Mr. Waldman must have made the statements knowing that they were false or with reckless disregard as to whether they were false. And Mr. Depp's knowledge cannot be imputed to him. There is no evidence in the record that Mr. Waldman knew the counterclaim statements were false. Indeed, Mr. Waldman did not even know Mr. Depp or Ms. Heard at the time of any of the alleged incidents at issue, and thus had no personal knowledge of what transpired. And this is reflected in the trial transcript that Mr. Waldman met Mr. Depp first in October of 2016, long after the fact. Nor is there any evidence in the record that Mr. Waldman subjectively entertained any serious doubts about the falsity of the counterclaim statements. Quite the opposite. The evidence shows, and it's unrebutted, that Mr. Waldman had very reasonable grounds to believe, and he did believe, and will to his dying day, that Ms. Heard's claim of abuse were patently false. Mr. Waldman testified at length about 29 witnesses he believed disproved Ms. Heard's false claims of abuse. See the transcript at page 6008 through 6012, and I won't run through all of that. But his testimony that two trained police officers, Officer Sines and Haddon, were called to the penthouse on May 21, 2016, and saw no signs of injury on Ms. Heard's face, as well as, quote, Ms. Heard's own witnesses who have testified in various forms at various times that there were no injuries to her face whatsoever between May 21st and May 27th, 2016, when she walked in to court with her publicist,
Good morning,
her lawyer,
sweetheart. Hope you're feeling better today.
Her former best friend who no longer speaks with her for a no-notice ex parte TRO. Some of the witnesses whom Mr. Waldman has cited, they include Laura Devenir, Melanie Iglesias, who, as Your Honor recalls, was Ms. Heard's makeup artist, who decided to end any professional or personal association with Ms. Heard. Samantha McMillan, Hilda Vargas, Isaac Baruch, Trinity Esparza, Cornelius Harrell, Alejandro Romero, and Brandon Patterson, just to name a few. No reasonable jury could find that Mr. Waldman acted with actual malice in making the allegedly defamatory statements. He was not present for the alleged incidents. He has no personal knowledge of any of the alleged incidents. What Mr. Waldman knows is a product of the legal work he did, the sleuthing he did on behalf of Mr. Depp. Ms. Heard cannot possibly show that Mr. Waldman acted with actual malice, and her defamation claim must fail. 2, Mr. Waldman is an independent contractor, not an employee. It is axiomatic, Your Honor, that a person who hires an independent contractor is not liable for the independent contractor's actions.
Yeah, he looks
See
good.
Sanchez versus Medicorp Health System, 270 Virginia, 299 at 344. An independent contractor is a person who is engaged to produce a specific result, but who is not subject to the control of the employer principal as to the way to bring about that result. See Atkinson versus Sachno, 261 Virginia, 378 at 284.
I think
That's a
Johnny's
2001
team
case.
Johnny's team is trying
An
to
outside lawyer
strike
retained by a client in connection
testimony
with
from
litigation
yesterday's
is
trial.
an independent contractor. See King versus Dalton, 895 F sub.
I'm just trying to figure out what
Eastern District of Virginia.
I'm just trying to figure out what he's trying to strike, whether he's trying to strike
Where
the
Judge
entire
Hall,
the entire testimony from
jurist
yesterday,
known
all
by
of it,
Virginia
or
experts,
just one
held
specific
that,
person
quote,
in
"A law
one
firm
person
attorney
specifically.
working with a client is nonetheless an independent contractor and is not an employee of the client corporation. In that case, the employer was a corporation, but the same logic applies when it's an individual like Mr. Depp. That was Mr. Waldman's role. Indeed, clients hire lawyers to obtain specific results or to try to obtain specific results, but they do not control the means by which
He's
the
trying to
results
strike the counterclaim
or accomplished.
Oh, snap.
Lawyers, as Your Honor has reminded us, are subject to professional obligations to exercise independent professional judgment.
That's huge.
We are not at the whim of our clients as much as we want to serve them. See Virginia State Bar Professional Guidelines, Rule 1:2 and 2.1. And just to quote 2.1, in representing a client, a lawyer shall exercise independent professional judgment, unquote.
Okay.
Mr. Waldman is, as a matter of law, an independent contractor, and Mr. Depp cannot be held responsible.
If they are, sorry for dropping this down, but if they are trying to remove him,
particularly for statements about
if they're trying to remove her counterclaim, it's a wrap. It'll be a wrap.
That he has.
They're basically saying, like, as you can see, Your Honor,
he's not an employee.
They have no case.
Mr. Depp or none of his loan out companies have issued him a W-2, and Mr. Waldman provides legal services to clients other than and in addition to Mr. Depp, and that's found at the transcript, page 6020 through 21. All of that is unrebutted by Ms. Hurd. Mr. Waldman's statements, the third reason for which we respectfully submit the counterclaim should be stricken, is that Mr. Waldman's statements were protected opinion. And I won't run through all of that, but very briefly.
That's basically what he's trying to say right now.
Taken in their proper context,
this has nothing to do with Johnny.
Statements are non-actionable expressions of opinion, entitled to protection under the First Amendment. See Gertz versus Robert Welchink, 418 U.S. 323 at 339. That's a 19.
Okay, so basically they're saying, hey, if you want to go after Waldman, where's Waldo guy? You have every right to if you want to, but at the same time, he has also the right of freedom of speech. He can say whatever the hell he wants, but he has nothing to do with this particular case right now. So $100 million lawsuit should be directed towards him, not Johnny Depp.
Could be understood only as the speaker's personal conclusion, unquote, and finding an accusation of deceit to be opinion. In context, Your Honor, any reporter or any reasonable reader would understand and expect a lawyer associated with Mr. Depp, as Mr. Waldman was, to challenge Ms. Hurd's version of the inherently controversial events of the parties' marriage. Just as Ms. Hurd's lawyers were quoted challenging Mr. Depp, and Your Honor will remember the context of these quotes that were in a British tabloid where Mr. Waldman's statements were buried well into article in which both points of view were clearly expressed, and Mr. Waldman was clearly identified not as an independent expert on the U.S. Constitution, but as one of Mr. Depp's attorneys. C. Chavez, 230 Virginia 112 at page 119, quote, "The most unsophisticated recipient of such a claim, i.e. any reader of the British tabloid, made by a competitor against another could only regard it as a relative statement of opinion grounded upon the speaker's obvious bias," unquote. Mr. Waldman has never did anything to hide his support and belief in Mr. Depp. Finally, Your Honor, and for the rest, ultimately, Mr. Waldman's statements reflect the existence of two competing narratives and are merely his subjective view about events that he never claims to have witnessed. And there was no doubt about that.
Well, I appreciate that, Shireen. You're going to have 500 people in the shower with you.
Of the
so
argument,
enjoy.
Which will be more abridged, Ms. Heard is not entitled to anti-SLAPP immunity. As a threshold matter, Virginia Code Section 8.01-223.2, which is, as Your Honor well knows, is the Virginia anti-SLAPP statute amended most recently in 2019, provides in relevant part, quote,
Vianney, is that true?
The immunity provided by this section shall not apply to any statements made with actual or constructive knowledge that they are false or with reckless disregard for whether they are false.
That's insane.
Here, in addition to Mr. Depp's testimony, several witnesses have testified that A, they never witnessed Mr. Depp abuse Ms. Heard, and B, that they observed Ms. Heard without any injuries, marks, bruising, swelling, etc.
Thank you.
During periods when Ms. Heard claimed to have injuries, marks, bruises, etc. Such witnesses include, but are not limited to, Isaac Baruch, Kate James, Dr. David Kipper, Nurse Debbie Lloyd, Officer Sines and Haddon, Officer William Gatlin, and former U.S. Marine Starling Jenkins. Ms. Heard's request for anti-SLAPP immunity should be stricken, and even if there were disputed facts as to that, the anti-SLAPP immunity does not apply because the defamatory implication of Ms. Heard's statements are not solely relating to a matter of public concern, as is required under the statute. As has become quite clear, Your Honor, Mr. Depp is not suing about any of the public policy commentary made by the ACLU when it drafted the op-ed, and Ms. Heard put her name to it. What he is suing about here are the three statements that were directed at him. He has no issue with women's rights. He supports women's rights. In fact, he was the one, Your Honor, as Your Honor knows, who made that first $100,000 contribution to the ACLU, and he made it also to the CHLA.
Your Honor, at this point, I'm going to object. Mr. Chu has largely just read his brief and confined his arguments to those directed in the motion, but like we saw with the last motion to strike, he's now directing his arguments to something other than what's at issue here, and I would object because I think making an argument not to you but to the cameras, it's disrespectful to the court and to everyone's time, and it also threatens to undermine the integrity of this process and risk the jury being influenced by outside factors.
Well, it's his argument. I'll allow him to do his
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. As I was trying to say, what Mr. Depp is suing about are the three statements. And it's very clear, despite the pious opening statement that about the First Amendment, that with the testimony of Terrence Doherty and the emails that were admitted as exhibits, that the ACLU and Ms. Heard were conspiring to make it very clear that those three statements were related to Mr. Depp, because otherwise nobody had any interest in the article. And it's crystal clear from that. They wanted to time this thing with the release of Aquaman.
Yes,
which was
bad
her
girl.
First film of any significance in
Let's
terms
go,
of
Ben Chu.
popularity. And to do that, That's very clear. So the charade that this had something to do with public policy is
Good
risible,
morning,
and that
Jamarcus.
is not why the
Welcome
anti-SLAPP
back.
protections were enacted. They were enacted to protect the rest of the article, not what Mr. Depp is suing about.
Thank you,
As
Deborah.
generally analyzed by the courts,
I ain't
a
slept for
matter
nothing.
of public concern
But I'm
is
here.
one which relates to, quote, a matter of political, social, or other concern to the community, unquote, as opposed to a matter of only, quote, personal interest, unquote. That's Connick versus Myers, 461 U.S. 138 at page 146. Instead, the defamatory implication at issue in each of the three statements at bar relate to the personal grievances between Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard, which does not rise to the level of a matter of public concern with broader implications for society
Get those
beyond
glasses
the
up.
two litigants in this
Cheers.
action any more than Mr. Waldman's statements. I mean, adding the gloss of public policy might immunize the statements that relate to public policy, but those are not at issue here. Mr. Depp agrees with those statements. We're talking about the three statements that they very intentionally and very cleverly put in to make it clear the implication that it was about Mr. Depp.
What's up,
They
Ricky
had
Rick?
lawyers from the ACLU
True.
working around the clock with Eric George to be as clever about this as possible. And Your Honor remembers the testimony of Mr. Doherty about the consternation at the ACLU when they realized that USA Today and everybody else who read the article knew darn well that this was about Mr. Depp. This cannot be protected by the anti-SLAPP statute. It is a cynical runaround. And I think now that we have the undisputed evidence from the ACLU in the form of the testimony of Terrence Doherty, who's not only their corporate representative, he was their general counsel. He is a brainiac lawyer.
Ricky
They
Rick.
knew exactly what they were doing, Your Honor. And he referred to testimony of a woman at the ACLU who said she had nightmares about Ms. Heard, and he expressed no concern about that.
Whoa.
Now, that was either because
Because
they
he's a
knew
nightmare.
that was either a reference to this game they were playing with the op-ed or the conspiracy they had to cover up her failure to make the donations. The donations became pledges, but we have evidence that she refused to sign the pledge
Yes,
card.
Ricky Rick. This would be a
So,
slam dunk
She's
move
caught either way.
if the judge
Simply
says
stated,
yes.
Your Honor,
It'll be a
Mr.
wrap
Depp is
after
not
that.
suing
Yes.
Ms. Heard for making statements about society in general. I think that's very clear from the record evidence. Mr. Depp is suing her for publicly naming him as an abuser by implication and forever tarnishing
This would
his
be a
good
wrap.
name. An act that, coming from an ex-spouse, is fundamentally personal in nature.
Question is,
For
can this
that reason
end
as well, Your
earlier?
Honor, Virginia's anti-SLAPP statute is not applicable. And based on the foregoing, Your Honor, Mr. Depp respectfully submits that
Huge
the court
strategy.
should grant plaintiff's motion to strike the counterclaims and also strike her claim that she is immune under the anti-SLAPP statute. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Your
Bam.
Honor.
Okay, so if the judge says yes to this, this is huge. This is a very big look. Also, no
Thank you,
matter
Your Honor.
what, if she says yes or no, this is a huge look
As
for
Your
the
Honor
jury
knows, the
too.
trial court is required to accept.
This is a huge look for the jury as well. No matter what, even if the judge says no, the jury now has this in their brain. Just think about it. Also, the defense has already rest. They had 4 more hours to kill. They're not even using it. This is some big stuff right now. It's a big day today.
The jury could determine that Mr. Waldman was Mr. Depp's agent. He made those statements. The statements referred to him as Mr. Depp's attorney. As Your Honor ruled on Friday with respect to the jury instruction conference, an attorney is an agent of his client. Mr. Waldman testified that he's been Mr. Depp's attorney since 2016. He freely admitted speaking to the press on Mr. Depp's behalf, and he refused to answer question after question about that agency, so he can't use that as a sword now. Mr. Chu puts a lot of emphasis on the fact that Mr. Depp allegedly didn't see the comments that were made that are the subject of the counterclaim. But as Your Honor well knows, whether he saw them or not is not the standard.
Thank
for
you, Dog
agency.
Mom, for the $15.
There's also
Really?
evidence that Mr. Depp met with the Daily Mail.
You're waiting
with
for this
Mr.
ace to be
Waldman
pulled. Okay.
Prior to the defamatory statements being made and released. I believe that was in February of 2020, just 2 months prior. Mr. Waldman also concocted a story that Amber was being investigated for perjury by filing a perjury complaint against her with the LAPD. He disregarded any evidence that he didn't believe would fit in his narrative.
Can't help
that would
but
fit
admit,
in this story that
Stephanie,
he was speaking about on behalf of Mr. Depp.
this has been
And
entertaining
after
as hell.
Mr. Depp lost the UK proceeding, after Mr. Depp was
For
ruled
the most
to
part.
be a wife beater by the court in the UK proceeding, the court there found him to be a wife beater. Mr. Waldman then got an overseas tabloid to run a story claiming that Amber was being investigated for perjury, which simply wasn't true. He walked into the LAPD, filed a complaint for perjury against Ms. Heard, found a media outlet that doesn't follow the two-source rule, and then he had let the world believe that the LAPD was investigating Ms. Heard for perjury. That's a shameful and a sickening example, Your Honor, of the links that Mr. Depp, through his agent, Mr. Waldman, would go to smear and to defame Amber Heard.
Morning,
and that
Cheryl.
continued in the 3 statements in the counterclaim. Your Honor has heard evidence. I won't go through all the evidence, but Your Honor has heard evidence from Ron Schnell, who's traced the negative hashtags toward Amber Heard online associated with those defamatory statements and noted the staggeringly high number of them that were associated with Mr. Waldman. Under the principles of the agent-principal relationship in Virginia, Your Honor, when Mr. Waldman made those statements, he was standing in the shoes of Mr. Depp. They are one and the same for the purposes of those statements. As Your Honor discussed at length on Friday, Mr. Waldman made these statements with actual malice. There's plenty of evidence from which the jury could infer that, and his own, both from the actual malice from Mr. Depp and Mr. Waldman's own reckless disregard of facts that didn't support Mr. Depp, and his attempts to manufacture false evidence that did. As Your Honor found in the hearing, I believe it was on March 24th, after Your Honor denied Mr. Depp's motion for summary judgment, Your Honor said, as to malice, a fact finder could reasonably conclude that Mr. Waldman made the statements with malice because Mr. Waldman has no personal knowledge of the party's marriage and still made the statements at issue. Nothing in this case has changed that. If anything, the evidence has only made it more clear that that is an inference that the jury can and we believe will find. So, Your Honor, there's no basis to grant a motion to strike on this agency argument. On the actual malice argument, the evidence shows that not only was Mr. Waldman Mr. Depp's agent, but that the two of them conspired to falsely accuse Amber of creating a hoax and falsify evidence that they believed supported their theory and what they wanted to achieve. As Your Honor well knows too, I won't go through all the law, but both agency and malice can be inferred through circumstantial evidence. There's plenty of evidence in the record from which the jury could infer those. Moving on, Your Honor, to the independent contractor, the court's already rejected this argument, ruled that an attorney-client have a principal-agent relationship.
Hey, Susie
and
Ann.
as Your Honor said on Friday, there's no evidence in this
Baker I
case
said
of
hello.
anything otherwise.
I love her show.
As to the argument that the counterclaim statements are statements of opinion, the court has already found twice that they are not statements of opinion, both on January 4th, 2021, in its opinion letter denying Mr. Depp's demur as to the counterclaim statements, and at the motion for summary judgment hearing in March of this year. As to the anti-SLAPP argument, the court again has already ruled at the March
Roxy.
24th, 2021
Thank you for watching from across the
opinion that
pond.
the statements are as a matter of law regarding matters of public opinion. The court has already ruled that. Therefore, the only remaining issue for anti-SLAPP is whether the intent element of immunity is met. As we discussed on Friday, the intent element of immunity is substantially the same as the actual malice standard, which the evidence in this case easily allows a jury to find in favor of Ms. Heard on that. I won't go through the litany of evidence that supports that Mr. Depp is an abuser here, but I'll touch on a few things that relate to Mr. Chu's argument. One, Mr. Chu was totally misrepresenting Mr. Doherty's testimony. There's not a single piece of evidence, Your Honor, in this case suggesting that Ms. Heard and the ACLU were somehow conspiring to achieve a defamatory implication to Mr. Depp. That's simply not what Mr. Doherty said. Mr. Chu's feel free to argue that to the jury, but that's not what his testimony reflects. Your Honor, there's also plenty of evidence that's been adduced both in Mr. Depp's claim and in Ms. Heard's counterclaim that show that absolutely there was the
Mr.
counterclaim
Incredible
statements are 100% false. There was no hoax.
Incredible Hulk. Sorry.
Mr. Depp is
Thank
an
you so much
abuser
for becoming a
who abused
member.
Ms. Heard. She did not conspire with her friends to create a hoax. She did not create a hoax herself. And just very briefly,
get out of here.
Some of the evidence that's come up
Stop,
since the last
Rottenborn.
motion to strike, Your Honor, that Mr. Chu conveniently disregards in his brief
All
are
of
the
this is
testimony
lies.
of Rocky Pennington, testimony of Josh Drew, testimony of Elizabeth Mars, all of whom completely corroborate Ms. Heard's account of the events of May 21st, 2016. The testimony of Melanie Iglesias, who testified that she covered Ms. Heard's bruises with makeup on right after the December 15th incident, that provided ample testimony to support that Ms. Heard often would cover her bruises that were caused by the plaintiff in this case, by Mr. Depp,
I
with
was
makeup.
tired.
He ignores the evidence of Christy Sexton. He
And I'm
ignores
tired of
the
these
evidence
lies.
of Io Tillett Wright. He ignores the evidence of Whitney Enriquez. All of these witnesses and others have testified extensively about Mr. Depp's abusive behavior toward Ms. Heard. Physical abuse, emotional abuse, psychological abuse, verbal abuse, Your Honor. Mr. Depp's own writings, recordings, pictures, and videos confirm that. The list goes on. There's abundant evidence in the record, Your Honor, from which the jury could, and again, we believe will find that Ms. Heard is not liable for defamation to Mr. Depp, and therefore, by definition, she has not acted with actual malice. And based on the court's rulings on March 24th, 2021, she would be entitled to anti-SLAPP immunity, which would permit her to ask the court to award attorney's fees against Mr. Depp. So with that, Your Honor, I'm happy to answer any questions the court has.
That's
but
fine. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye, Rotten.
Your Honor, I will be brief in deference to the court's
Please be
time
brief.
and the jury's time.
But knock it out the park, Chu.
What Mr. Rottenborn said about Mr. Waldman's allegedly going to the LAPD about perjury is a complete non sequitur. If they thought that that were somehow improper conduct, they could have included it in their counterclaims. They included everything else but the kitchen sink, and most of it was thrown out. There was nothing in there about Mr. Waldman going to the LAPD. So that is a very clear non sequitur, red herring distraction. Number two, when Your Honor ruled on summary judgment on the issue of the counterclaims, Your Honor was dealing with a different standard and a different evidentiary record. At that time, Mr. Waldman had not testified, which is material. Mr. Waldman has now testified for purposes of trial. We have his trial testimony. It's very clear that he did not act with actual malice. They didn't even argue that.
Thank you, Darcia.
So
I
that's
love you
pretty
back.
clear.
Yeah, he looks good in the
And
blue.
again,
I like the blue suit. He looked good.
this is consistent.
No,
The third point
this
is
is not
that
closing
it's
arguments.
all about games. They didn't sue Mr. Waldman on the three statements.
They're basically trying to
They didn't
strike.
try to fill the hole.
Amber
They've been telling us
Heard's
for a week that they're going to call Mr. Depp to try to fill the hole.
Counter sue.
And their counterclaims, they didn't do that.
Counter lawsuit. I'm sorry.
And it's very consistent with the game playing. Let's go into court after the police have found no problem, and after witness who had
Great
no
to have you,
relationship
Mr. Incredible
with each
Hulk.
other, said there are no visible marks. Let's not give Mr. Depp's lawyer the required 24-hour notice before the TRO. Let's march into court with our publicist, with our lawyer, with our best friend who no longer talks to her. Let's get a TRO. And when the Me Too folks say, why are you taking $7 million from an abuser? They said, I didn't take money from the abuser. I gave it all to charity. Well, they didn't. I don't think anybody should feel bad about them stiffing the ACLU, given what the ACLU did in this case, which is a monstrosity. But she did stiff the sick and dying children.
Ellen,
it is
on Facebook?
gamesmanship.
No,
And,
they're trying
and
to
that's
get
what she's
rid
doing here today.
of her
But the
lawsuit.
law is the
The
law.
$100 million
And they
lawsuit.
have not fulfilled their burden with respect to the counterclaims. There is virtually no nexus between Mr. Depp and Mr. Waldman as to these statements at issue except for the fact that he is an attorney, and that is not sufficient. In a case where they have not even established that Mr. Depp was aware of these statements.
Get
And
them
they knew
likes up.
that they
Hit that
couldn't
like
do it,
button,
and they
y'all.
didn't even try.
Don't forget to hit that
And
subscribe
it's
button.
more of the gamesmanship when Ms. Heard plays word games with Mr. Depp about, oh, I didn't punch you, Johnny, I just hit you. Imagine if the shoe were on the other foot and Mr. Depp, a man, was saying to a woman, oh, woman up, I only hit you, I didn't punch you. And when it was chilling, when she warned him on the tape, you go tell a judge, you go tell a jury that you, a man, were abused. See if they're going to believe that.
Tell it on a mountain. Go and tell it on a
It is
mountain.
an abuse of the system. And she's
Denisha,
done
thank
it
you so
throughout.
much for the $20
Finally, Your
super
Honor,
chat.
and
Thank you.
Mr. Rottenborn makes an excellent point with which I agree, which was that with respect to each of the three statements, Mr. Waldman was clearly identified, even by the tabloid that printed these, well within articles that had both sides represented, that he was Mr. Waldman's attorney. Even the reader of a tabloid understands that when you're getting statements from attorneys, it's going to be forwarding their client's point of view. Mr. Waldman is not the only attorney who has spoken out.
He's got a good point
Robbie
there.
Kaplan, who was
Good
Ms.
morning,
Heard's secretary.
sunflowers.
So Ms. Heard started out with Eric George. He made comments to the press. saying-
Objection, Your Honor. Again, this is so much further beyond what Your Honor is addressing.
I'm
I would
finishing
ask
up,
that-
Your Honor.
Okay.
I'm finishing up. My point, Your Honor, and
Come
it's
on, man.
on point, is that Mr. George made statements supporting Ms. Heard's position. Ms. Kaplan made very clear statements supporting her client's position on the merits, and so did Mr. Waldman. But everybody knows when reading those that those are statements by partisans. So for the reasons that we've stated and the reasons set forth in the brief, we respectfully submit that the court should grant the motion to strike, or in light of the fact that Mr. Depp may reappear, at the very least, take these motions under advisement until the close of all evidence. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, sir.
There we go.
All right. In this matter, I've reviewed all the defendant's evidence as to her counterclaim, and I've considered the arguments of her counsel and plaintiff's counsel. First, to address a few issues that I believe are outside the motion to strike, and that's as to the slap defense. The slap defense is just that, it's a defense, so it's really not considered in a motion to strike. Having said that, we went down that legal road on Friday as far as the slap defense goes, as far as the jury instructions. In this particular case, if the plaintiff prevails, it must be with actual malice. Therefore, if it's with actual malice, immunity does not apply under that statute. So we will deal with that with jury instructions, and we have. As to independent contractor, again, I think it's outside the motion to strike. However, Mr. Waldman was plaintiff's attorney since 2016. Before the initiation of litigation, there is evidence that Mr. Waldman had a certain role during the prior divorce proceedings in the UK case. Additionally, there is evidence that shows his legal representation was broader than just a limited litigation, as outlined in all the cases presenting an attorney as an independent contractor. So the only evidence in this case to this point is that Mr. Waldman was an agent to Mr. Depp, and that is the basis to weigh the motion to strike. As far as the opinions argument, again, I think that is outside the motion to strike. The opinions argument, the court has already ruled on this matter as to the three statements that are issued in the counterclaim.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Ruled that they were not opinion at the demur and at summary judgment. So that argument will not be part of the motion to strike. So when assessing a motion to strike, the court accepts the favorable evidence adduced as true towards the non-moving party. The court cannot reject any inference from the evidence favorable to the non-moving party unless it would defy logic and common sense. When there is any doubt and question, the court should overrule a motion to strike. Agency may be inferred from the conduct of the parties and from surrounding facts and circumstances. When there is no direct evidence, circumstances may and usually are relied upon to determine whether an agency relationship exists. A principal is liable for the tortious acts of his agent if the agent was performing his principal's business and acting within the scope of his agency. If an agent's tortious act arises from their agency relationship, is enacted in part to service the principal, the principal can be held liable for the tort. Here, the alleged tort is defamation. Besides demonstrating the agency relationship, the defendant must prove Mr. Waldman published an actionable statement, meaning a statement that is both false and defamatory with the requisite intent. As to agency, Mr. Waldman was plaintiff's attorney at the time of the alleged defamatory statements were made. Mr. Waldman does not deny this, and neither does the plaintiff. Moreover, Mr. Waldman made the allegedly defamatory statements about the defendant during the proceedings of this action and interacted with the defendant once the statements were made while still representing the plaintiff. Taking the surrounding circumstances as a whole, an agency relationship can be inferred, and thus a scintilla of evidence regarding agency must be turned over to the jury. In addition, the jury may infer that Mr. Waldman made these specific statements to a third party to serve as plaintiff by portraying defendant as an opposing litigant in a negative light. It is not disputed that Mr. Waldman published statements and that there is a question as to whether statements are false, and both parties disagree and have presented conflicting evidence as such. As to actual malice, Mr. Waldman made the counterclaim statements after he met with his client. In addition, there is evidence the plaintiff was with Mr. Waldman at a meeting in February 2020 with the Daily Mail online. Further, defendant claimed that she met with Mr. Waldman where he threw the paper containing the counterclaim statements within them. Consequently, there is more than a scintilla of evidence that a reasonable juror may infer Mr. Waldman made the counterclaim statements while realizing they were false or with a reckless disregard for their truth. It is not my role to measure the veracity or weight of the evidence. The Fourth Circuit and the Virginia Supreme Court have made it crystal clear that actual malice is a question for the fact finder. So therefore, the plaintiff's motion to strike is denied. Okay? Thank you. Is there any other preliminary matters before the jury? Yes, Your Honor. Okay.
She tried, or they tried. They definitely tried. Damn. But because allegedly Johnny Depp was with his lawyer, Waldman, where's Waldo, at a specific time when he was talking with the Daily Mail, then she can countersue because of said thing. Because obviously maybe Johnny Depp said some things and then it made his lawyer, Waldman, say something to Daily Mail, or maybe he said it and then they were like, the lawyer was like, no, make sure that's me that quoted it. I don't know. But still, it was an attempt. But if the judge still thinks that this is all on the grounds of like what her counter lawsuit is viable and relevant and is not created out of malice, I mean, you heard it right there. Judge said, hey, we can't throw this out because it's not on the grounds of malice. She is reacting on comments that were made while Johnny Depp allegedly was with his lawyer, Waldman, when he was making these specific comments to the Daily Mail and all that stuff. So, yeah, they tried, man. Damn, they tried. They had here it is. They had a strong argument, all right? I will say that. They had a strong argument, but it didn't work out. It just didn't work out the way I think a lot of people wanted it to. Like me, I wanted them to be like, yeah, let's take it out. But I will say this, though. The defense has rest. Just so you know, first off, right before, because this is what we missed, right in the very beginning, when the whole trial started, defense rest. So they're done unless they decide to use their last 4 hours at the end. I don't know. But they have passed the torch over to the plaintiff, Team Depp. So this is what Team Depp did first. They said, F this. We want this thing destroyed. We want this stricken, ripped out from this whole entire trial, because everything that they have done has been built on lies and malice. Well, the judge said different. And I don't think, Lulu, I'm thinking that the judge is pretty much in the middle. This was very surprising on behalf of Team Heard, but at the same time, I don't think she is sitting here going, Team Heard, Team Heard. I feel like she's been fairly balanced, fairly unbiased with this whole thing. I think she's just watching this just like everybody else. She is gawking at this circus just like every other person out here. So I think she's doing a damn good job trying to keep it balanced. Because if she really was Team Heard, there'd be a lot more stuff that Team Heard would have been able to get away with. So this is the first time in a really in a while, in weeks, that Team Depp put some stuff out here and said, hey, nope. And she just denied it. That's the first time in a while. Same thing. You got to remember, the Team Heard tried to make a motion for something a couple weeks ago. I forgot what it was, but it was asinine and ridiculous as well. And what happened? The judge said no. So she's been fairly, and their grounds were just ridiculous. I understood where Ben Chew was trying to, what Ben Chew and what Team Depp was trying to get at. They're trying to say, hey, this whole thing has been built on lies. As you can see, they've presented. She has committed perjury a billion times, and she is still here, and she's still trying to countersue him for 100 million bags, baby. But here's one thing. I do appreciate and I respect this judge because she is staying on the side of the law. That's what I'm seeing. She is staying on the side of the law, and she's giving it to us whether we like to hear it or not. I think if she said, I don't know. I mean, maybe it'd be different if she said something else, but I think she is standing right there in the middle, standing on the side of the law. So they're just going to have to do their job. And I think the jury is going to look at this. The jury's not even in the room right now. But if the jury was in the room and they knew about this stuff, man, they would have this burned in their brains. Like, this would be bad. You know? Dr. Ed said, Pascal, this is Virginia. Excuse me. Tough state to prosecute. That's why. Yeah, it is a very tough state. There's a lot of loopholes. There's a lot of BS. But hey, Johnny Depp is paying these esquires to esquire the ish out of this lawsuit, and they're doing everything they can to do so. So it ain't over yet. We got to see what happens next here, because now it's Team Depp. They have 15 hours and almost 16 hours left of depositions, all that stuff to submit and to present their argument. So I wonder who is next, because it ain't Wednesday yet. Wednesday is tomorrow. So they say Kate Moss is supposed to be on the stand, allegedly via video deposition tomorrow. So who are they going to be bringing up? I know that they still have a DC Films and Warner Brothers heads higher up that they're supposed to be bringing in. I forgot his name, but he's supposed to be coming in soon. They have, of course, Kate Moss, but then you also got to remember Jennifer Howell. Is she coming through? Is that what's going to happen today or no? We'll find out. But hey, real talk. Team Depp had every right, and it's understandable why they had a motion to strike. That made total sense because, hey, they're coming in with nothing but lies, yo. Nothing but lies. So they tried it, but they lost that motion to strike on a technicality. Real talk. Really, it was on a technicality. And if Johnny Depp wasn't in the room hanging out with his lawyer at that time during the Daily Mail interview and all that BS, this would probably be a completely different conversation. Yes, this is just the battle, Ashley. It's just how it is. This is how the game is played. Okay. And like I said, I don't think the judge is Team Heard or Team Depp. She is sitting right there and just going, look at this freaking circus I'm a part of. What is going on here? Who are these two people? These people need counseling. Real talk. You know what I'm saying? Mark, what's up, man? DC, LOL, he's going to tell why AH won't be in Aquaman 2. Yep. At least that'll be one of them. That'll be one of the, it'll be one of the pieces of one of the topics. Let's just say that. It'll be one of the topics for sure. It'll be one of the topics. And of course, they'll sit there and say, was the op-ed, was the stuff that Wallman said, was the Daily Mail and Twitter posts did they have anything to do with Aquaman 2's decision to keep her to take her out? And hopefully hopefully DC Films homeboy will sit there and say, no, it's because she sucks. She's a bad actress, so on and so forth. There was no chemistry, blah, blah, blah. That's the reason why she's only in 10 minutes of the damn sequel. Still got paid. I think she got paid what? 1.5 mil for her role as Mira? Come on, y'all. Come on. Star, you didn't miss anything crazy. They just had a motion to go. They had I haven't really seen her, like, you know what I mean? I'll take a look at that here. Anything good? Well, here it is. So far. Okay. So far, they had a motion to try to strike her entire counter lawsuit, her whole lawsuit, for $100 million. And it did not work out. Okay. Just for those of y'all who are starting to file in, I know it's early in the morning. I started a few minutes late. So I appreciate all y'all for being in here and chopping it up with me. But yes, 3-second interview, he'll pop up and say she's a terrible actor and leave. No kidding. You know what I mean? Here's the truth. She's a terrible actress. This is the reason why she wasn't in Aquaman 2, period. You know what I mean? Let me see here. I had a question here. Danny O'Brien said, Pascal, what vibe are you getting from Amber's outfit today? I haven't really seen much of her. They haven't really shown much of her. So I need like a good glimpse of her somehow. You know what I mean? But hey, guys, I see a bunch of guys in here. You know, I appreciate all y'all. Hit that like button. Send it past 600 likes for me real quick. That would really mean a lot. And of course, please hit that subscribe button. Crush it. Destroy it. That really, really mean a lot. I'm putting in the hours. This channel talks about many other topics other than just the Amber Heard saga, the Amber Heard Johnny Depp saga. But we are on this project and on this trial until it is over this week. So please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you like to hear other things from this channel, because we talk about everything from pop culture to the controversial. We talk about it all. So hit that subscribe button. That would really, really mean a lot. Okay. Let's see. I'm trying to see if good morning, Judy. How you doing? Yeah, we're still here. We are still here. You know what I mean? Shoot. I was hoping that they were going to strip it. Like, I was hoping that she was going to go, yeah, that makes sense. Let's strike. Let's strike the lawsuit, Amber Heard's lawsuit. And I would have been like, yo, we wrapping the show up. We wrapping the trial up today. Like, let's go. But it didn't work out. Damn. It didn't work out. Another time indeed. Boston in the house. By the way, do me a favor, everybody. Comment where you guys are watching the show from. I always love to see how far out this show is going, how far out this watch party is going. So comment down below where you are, or comment in the comment section, I'm sorry, where you are watching this show from. I just love to see how far, how much and how international this family has gotten over the past few weeks. It's been pretty damn amazing. Damn. Malaysia. Whoa. Maryland, Mississippi, Virginia, Portland, Oregon, New York City. Yes. Florida. Wow. You guys are blowing it up right now. Boise, Idaho, Fresno, California. Wow. Ohio, Ireland, Libya. Wow. Australia, England, North Carolina. These are going so fast. Wow. Live and learn said my bedroom. Okay, that's what's up. Hopefully it's your bedroom and not mine. Arizona, Portugal. Wow. Wow. Dubai. Damn. You got that money? You got that Dubai money? St. Louis. What's up, St. Louis? Yes. Wow. 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 Barbados. I love it. I love it. South Africa. Wow. Y'all incredible. Mexico. Sweden. Okay. Haiti. Ça passe. That's what's up. Planet Depp. I like that one. Good one, Miguel. Man, you guys are from, oh man, this is incredible. Y'all are incredible. I appreciate all y'all for being in here. Real talk, I appreciate it. Damn, what's going on over here, man? Like, what's going on? Like, what's the problem? The defense rested. So what you doing here? Unless she's sitting there going, can I just use those 4 hours now? Can I use those 4 hours now? And now we're watching Ben Chew scratch his ass. That's very cute, Ben Chew. But yeah, I'm wondering what's next, because we got a whole day. Man, it ain't even 9 o'clock my time yet. Shoot. A little bit. Yeah, a little bit. Bro, a little bit. They rested this morning. So they said F the rest of the 4 hours. They said F it. You know what I mean? They were like, I got better things to do. F it. You know what I'm saying? Insane. Philippines. Wow. Philippines. That's what's up, Philippines. Marcy, Depp's team tried to strike, or they had a motion to strike Amber Heard's entire counter lawsuit, basically saying on the grounds of malice, and that her whole thing's been built on a foundation of BS and lies. Let's just say that. And that the argument or this lawsuit that she's having towards Johnny Depp should actually be technically towards his lawyer, Waldman. Okay. And then they said, nope. Basically, the judge said, after thinking about all this stuff, nope. Because I guess technically the lawyer was with Johnny Depp when he was doing this interview for Daily Mail. So there is still grounds for her to countersue Johnny Depp, because there is some possibilities of him actually being there, manipulating and telling the lawyer to say certain things. And apparently there was a tabloid that he was a part of. I forgot what. I'm assuming it's still Daily Mail, but yes, still didn't work out. Oh, Dr. Curry's coming back tomorrow? Wow, she coming back. Dr. Curry allegedly is coming back? Man, I just hope it's not sitting there like listening to a dictionary of like, tell us what it means to be this. Like, I just don't. Like what we saw yesterday with Dr. Smiggle, like that really, that just made my brain hurt. Does that make sense? And then that ish, I was like, this is too early in the morning for this stuff. I'm sorry, Dr. Smiggle. I just no. Yeah, you still can't get over it too. Yeah, Dr. Smeagol the Eagle. Yeah. That was a real thing, guys. That was a real thizang. Y'all are funny. See, like, Vianney, I agree. Dr. Curry was great. A great expert witness. She was very poised. She did what she said. She did what she needed to say. She didn't lecture too much, but at the same time, man. But man, okay. Ma WS, thank you so much. Thank you for covering this crazy case. But damn, bro, how you making time for your home life? Jeepers. I'm sending good vibes for you and yours. I'm over here in Wisconsin, by the way. Thank you so much. I do appreciate it. You know what? I'm trying to find time. You see what I'm saying? I'm trying to find time. I'm doing everything I can to balance this and marriage bliss. Does that make sense? So I'm doing everything I can to balance it. And but I told you guys I'd be watching this to the bitter end. And so I'm putting in the time where I need to put in the time. And soon there will be a little bit of a break. But for right now, we're watching this. And I can't wait for it to be over. I'm gonna be real. I cannot wait for it to be over. But when it is over, we'll be on different projects, different conversations, and different stories. Because like I said, we talk about a bunch of things. But there's people out here that don't understand that I'm only one person. I'm putting in 8 hours a day, sometimes 11 plus hours a day to do this show, do a recap, wake up, lather, rinse, repeat, and do it all over again the next day. And I just got married, y'all. Just got married. So, I'm putting in the time where I need to put time in for now. And then when we get back to, at the end of this week, we'll be back to our regularly scheduled program of other stories. But I am only one person, so I'm doing everything I can, and I'm trying to balance my personal life and this dang show, watching this at the same damn time. So you know how it is, okay? But I wouldn't want it any other way. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, I know that there's people who want me to talk about other things right now, and I do appreciate the passion, and I appreciate the need for other stories because I want to tell the stories too. But I'm here with 8 hours. And then when I get done, I crash. So, I can only do so much. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I'm working hard out here in these streets, y'all. Marcy C, thank you so much for becoming a member. Thank you. I really do appreciate that. Thank you. Okay? Thank you so very much. And Fatal Flaw, I love you, baby. I love all y'all. And I love being able to talk to you guys about this, especially when it's not something so super controversial. It's a nice vacation from all the other stuff that we've been talking about. Man, we got things we got to talk about. We need to talk about this monkeypox outbreak that's out here. Like literally, it's out here. People are talking about that right now. There's plenty other things that we need to talk about that we will be talking about in due time. But right now, the focus is this doggone trial. And it's almost over. It is almost over. But real quick, guys, I want to say this too really quick. I got some merch. I got to say that. You know what I mean? Got to keep the lights on somehow. So I'm going to show you a couple of these designs real quick. They're available in my merch store right now as we speak. The link is down below, but I showed them to you guys yesterday. I'm going to show them again today because these are dope. Okay. My boy, the letter hack, created these and they're hilarious. So enjoy for a second. Only for a few seconds. You know what I mean? You got a little poop gate going on. You got Amber Who. Okay. And then we got the Kentucky Fried Chicken because of her outfit yesterday, which was absolutely phenomenal. You know what I mean? It was phenomenal. Okay. It made me hungry. Okay. So those are all available right now on my merch store, in my merch store. I'm sorry. The link is down below. Click on it. Check it out. Okay. Support this channel if you can. Hit that join button just like what Marcy C did and a slew of other people have become members of the family here on this channel. So please go over there. I also have my Patreon, patreon.com/the Pascal Show.
Right,
and I got that Cash
jury
App. It's all in the ticker down below. Okay. Let's go. Now, jury is finally going to be coming back in. They're going to be filing in here in just a second. Okay. And Bad Girl, you're absolutely right. I do appreciate that. You're doing great. Don't allow people to get in your ear. You're only one person, so you do you. Yes. Oh, I am. But I do hear people. You know what I mean? I do hear people because I care. I do care. But at the same time, my efforts here, I hope that they do not go unrecognized. That's all I'm trying to say. Because I'd rather be sleeping in than sitting through 8 hours. But I have been enjoying going through these 8 hours every day with all y'all. It's been great to get to know you guys. It's been amazing. And this ain't even over yet. So we're going to rock and roll.
Good morning, ladies
So
and
Bad
gentlemen.
Girl,
I apologize. We have a
appreciate
few
you.
housekeeping matters to take care of. but thank
Housekeeping
you.
matters.
Have your seat. All right, your next witness.
Your Honor, on behalf of defendant and counterclaimant Amber Heard, we rest.
All right, thank you. All right, rebuttal evidence?
Yes, Your Honor, Mr. Depp calls Walter Hamada of Warner Brothers.
They
All
done.
right, Mr. Hamada.
So they done. You know what I'm saying? They done, y'all.
Your Honor, just to clarify, this is by deposition, so we may need
Oh,
that.
okay, well, okay.
I apologize, I should have provided notice.
That's all right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
If we could get, yeah.
Oh, the dreaded screen. Here we go. This is the Warner Brothers guy, if I'm correct. Yeah. No. No. Ellen. No. No. Oh, God. But okay. Hopefully this will be a very telling and very entertaining video deposition. So fingers crossed. Let's go. Thank you, Dog Mom. Appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Ramada, what do you work for Warner Brothers Entertainment Inc.?
Yes, I do.
In what capacity?
My title is president of DC-based film productions for Warner Brothers.
Okay.
What, if anything, you did to prepare to testify for Warner Brothers as to topics 2 through 18?
I did not do anything to prepare for this, other than the meeting that I had with the attorneys.
Did Warner Brothers have a contract with Amber Heard to perform in Aquaman 2?
Yes, there was we had an option agreement for her for Aquaman 2.
Do you know what it is?
It looks like a standard contract between an actor and the studio.
And which actor was involved in this? Which actor was a party to this contract?
Amber Heard. It's a contract for Amber Heard for the role of Mara in Aquaman and its sequels.
Which
Where's his
studio
face?
contracted with Amber Heard?
Where's his face?
Warner Brothers.
When did you
Okay.
come to be the president of DC?
At the beginning of 2018.
Interesting. Where's his freaking face?
Mr. Hamada, was Ms. Heard ever released by Warner Brothers from the Aquaman 2 contract, or what you call the option agreement?
No.
Was she released from her Aquaman 2 contract on or about February 22, 2021?
No.
Was Ms. Heard ever rehired for Aquaman 2 by Warner Brothers?
No.
Okay, that makes no sense, but they don't have him here, but he's on screen, so I'm trying to pull this other one. I just don't want to mess up the thing.
Did Ms. Heard receive a pay increase for Aquaman 2?
No.
Why not?
As a rule, as a company, we go through a lot of trouble when we make our deals with our actors. We get option we get options on them for subsequent movies. And I think traditionally, prior to me joining the company, every option was renegotiated. And one of the things that we were trying to put a rein in on was not renegotiating every deal, with the understanding that people come in and make these deals and they have an understanding that there will be options and that there is a deal in place. And it was a big part of our philosophy that we were going to hold people to their options moving forward.
Okay.
But did Warner Brothers at any point in time reduce Ms. Heard's role in Aquaman 2?
The role in the film the size of the role in the film that she has was determined in the early development of the script, which would have happened in 2018, I would say.
Sorry, guys. I got the other one here. I do not know why this ain't in here, but we're going to go through this together.
It was from the beginning.
Was her role ever reduced for any reason?
No, I mean, again, from the early stages of the development of the script, the movie was built around the character of Arthur and the character of Orm, Arthur being Jason Momoa and Orm being Patrick Wilson. So they were always the two co-leads of the movie.
Did Warner Brothers ever plan to portray Ms. Heard as the co-lead in Aquaman 2?
No, it was the movie was always pitched as a buddy comedy between Jason Momoa and Patrick Wilson.
Was Ms. Heard cast in Aquaman?
Yes, she was.
Was Ms. Heard cast in Aquaman 2?
Yes, she was.
Was Ms. Heard paid for her services in Aquaman 1?
Yes.
Was Ms. Heard paid for her services in Aquaman 2?
Yes.
Was her compensation for Aquaman 2 affected in any way by anything said by Johnny Depp?
No.
Was her compensation for Aquaman 2 affected by anything said by Adam Waldman?
No.
Was her compensation for Aquaman 2 affected by anything said by anybody representing Johnny Depp?
No.
Bam. Yo, this is good stuff, though. But it all depends on what the jury does.
Was there any delay in Warner Brothers exercising the option to cast Ms. Heard in Aquaman 2?
Yes, there was.
How long a delay was there?
I think so, Marcy.
I don't know, probably weeks.
What was the cause of the delay?
There were conversations about potentially recasting.
Who was the producer?
Peter Safran,
Who was the director?
James Wan.
Did Warner Brothers believe that those concerns were legitimate?
Yeah, I mean, I had no reason not to believe the director and the producer of the movie.
And you are testifying today as a representative of Warner, correct?
Yes, I am.
What, if any, creative concerns did Warner Brothers have about casting Amber Heard as Mira in Aquaman 2?
It was the concerns that were brought up at the wrap of the first movie, production of the first movie, which is the issue of chemistry. Did the two have chemistry? I think editorially they were able to make that relationship work in the first movie, but there was a concern that it took a lot of effort to get there. And would we be better off recasting, finding someone who had better, more natural chemistry with Jason Momoa and move forward that way?
Blammo.
Did Warner Brothers take any steps affirmatively to audition other actresses for the role of Mira in Aquaman 2?
No, we did not.
Other than the creative concerns and concerns about chemistry you testified about, was there any other reason Warner Brothers delayed in picking up Ms. Heard's option for Aquaman 2?
No, it was all concerns about whether she was the right bit of casting for the movie.
What role, if any, did Ms. Heard's dispute with Johnny Depp have in Warner Brothers' delay picking up Ms. Heard's option for Aquaman 2?
There was none from our end.
Wow. There we go.
At any point in time, was Warner Brothers considering paying Ms. Heard more money for Aquaman 2 than is set forth in the option contract you previously identified?
No, as I said, we were determined to hold our actors to their option agreements.
Would Warner Brothers have paid Ms. Heard more money on Aquaman 2 if it had picked up her option earlier?
No.
At any time from the beginning of history through today,
Beginning of
did
history.
Warner Brothers ever release Ms. Heard from the Aquaman 2 contract?
No.
Okay.
At any point in time from the beginning of history to today, did Warner Brothers rehire Ms. Heard for Aquaman 2?
No, because we just picked up her option.
And when is the last time you spoke with Rob Cohen relating in any manner to whether to exercise the option on Amber Heard for Aquaman 2?
No, it would have been at the same time that I was having those conversations with Peter Safran
So
in 2020.
Did you speak with Zack Snyder at all relating to whether to exercise the option for Amber Heard on Aquaman 2?
No, I've not had any conversations with Zack Snyder.
Did you speak at all with Jason Momoa in preparation for your deposition today?
No.
Have you ever spoken with Jason Momoa about any issues relating to chemistry between he and Amber Heard?
Yes.
When did you speak with Jason Momoa about chemistry issues between he and Amber Heard?
It would have been in that same time period where we were prior to green light of the movie.
Now, you were asked some questions about scripts. Did you review any of the drafts of the script for Aquaman 2?
Yes.
When?
I part of my role is I read all the drafts of the scripts as they come in.
When was the first script for Aquaman 2?
Oh boy. I cannot tell you. Probably in 2018, latter part of 2018 would be my guess.
And how many versions of the script
Thank you,
have
JoJo.
been written by the beginning of 2021 for Aquaman 2?
Oh, there were probably half dozen drafts of the script. Brought up.
All right, what, if anything, did Rob Cohen say to you about chemistry? What specifically about the chemistry between Amber Heard and Jason Momoa?
Just the fact that they didn't really have a lot of chemistry together. The reality is it's not uncommon on movies for two leads to not have chemistry, and that it's sort of movie magic and editorial, the ability to sort of put performances together, and with the magic of, a great score and how you put the pieces together, you can fabricate sort of that chemistry. And so I think at the end of the day, I think if you watch the movie, they look like they had great chemistry. But I just know that through the course of the post-production that it took a lot of effort to get there. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes it's very easy.
Wow.
You just put the characters on the screen together and they work. And sometimes it's harder. And so
Can you give me anything more specific about what it was with Amber Heard and Jason Momoa that was difficult for the chemistry?
no, because it's like what makes a movie star a movie star. Like you know it when you see it, and the chemistry wasn't there.
Now, you've used the term fabricated a number of times. What did you do to fabricate the chemistry between Amber Heard and Jason Momoa?
Well, those are just, it's editorial. A good editor and a good filmmaker can pick the right takes, can pick the right moments, and put scenes together. Again, score is a big, the music in a scene makes a big difference. It can make a happy scene feel sadder or a sad scene feel happier. And so it was sort of it's just the magic of post-production, editing, sound design, music, etc.
And what do you mean by fabricating, though? I mean, were they literally falsifying, or were they just picking the best music? Let me finish my question. Were they picking the best music and picking the best looks because that's their job and that's what you do on every scene?
That is what we do in post-production. That's what filmmakers do. This is on any production. You're doing that. You're putting performances together. Sometimes it's easier than others. This one was more difficult because of the lack of chemistry between the two. Wow. But they were able to, James Wan and the editor were able to get it to a place where the end result actually works. And it's great.
And in fact, that's the job of every filmmaker, right? Is to put all the combinations together to make the most successful production.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you what has been marked as exhibit number 5. It's ALH 18247. And this is a text message exchange between James Wan and Amber Heard. And you mentioned James Wan was the director of Aquaman 2, is that correct? And Aquaman, the first one, correct?
That's correct.
All right. And James is texting to Amber on August 25, 2018. You rated really high with the audience, exclamation mark. You see that?
Yes.
This is August 25, 2018. What's going on August 25, 2018 that would cause the director to send a text message to Amber saying...
That'd be a test screening. So during our post-production of movie, we test the movie with an audience, and the audience tells us what they liked and what they didn't like. And so that's what he's referring to there.
And they really liked Amber Heard, correct?
Yes, she did. She passed it well.
Hit $1 billion, is that correct?
Yeah.
And more specifically, did you play any role in the determination to communicate to Amber's representatives that Warner Brothers was considering not exercising the option?
Yeah, probably in the sense of we had the conversations, and I believe, if I recall, we had, that's where Peter Safran offered to reach out to the agent, which direction we were leaning.
Have you seen any document that says there was any chemistry issues between Amber Heard and Jason Momoa in Aquaman 1?
Documents? No, I mean, those were all conversations.
But if Jason came back and James Wan came back, you were guaranteeing that Amber Heard would play Mira, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And Jason Momoa was able to negotiate a different compensation structure, was he not, for Aquaman 2?
That's true. He did renegotiate.
Now, Aquaman was the highest grossing DC film ever for Warner Brothers, was it not?
Yes, it was.
And what, if any, issues did you have with Amber Heard in Aquaman 2?
Oh, boy.
My understanding is actually the production went very smoothly.
That's good.
All right.
That's
Thank you.
good.
Your next witness.
But no chemistry. Still no chemistry. Walter Hamada.
Your Honor, we call Dr. Colbert next, but I know we have a preliminary matter that we need to deal with briefly, if we may approach.
Sure.
So, you just heard it from the horse's mouth, y'all. Bam. Everyone's sitting there wondering, why? Why is it, was she fired because of the comments that were made by Johnny Depp and by his lawyer? These are the things that are being put out here. These are the claims, but Walter Hamada just destroyed that in just a few minutes. Real talk. destroyed all of that, all those claims annihilated, all because no chemistry, none. He said they had to work her scenes by editing them, manipulating them to make it seem like that Jason Momoa and she have chemistry on camera, but apparently they had none. So there it is, guys. This whole thing is over. That's the whole thing. She's saying, no, the only reason why I'm not in the Aquaman 2 movie as much as I should be is because of what Where's Waldo said and Johnny Depp said on social media and on the Daily Mail and some tabloid stuff. Other than that, that's the only thing that they're claiming, or one of the big things, one of the main things that they're claiming. And lo and behold, right there, the thing that we've all been waiting for. You know, I heard somebody say this too. I think Johnny Depp, literally Depp's team was just saving the best for last. Okay? Like a Vanessa Williams song, you know? So this is insane, guys. It's a wrap after this. I don't know why they're approaching the bench. I don't know why they're trying to chop it up. It's a wrap, son. Danny O'Brien, thank you so much. Thank you so much for becoming a member. Yes. Thank you. I really, really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for your support and love and spending some time with me and helping this channel. I really do appreciate it. I see a bunch of y'all watching right now, starting to file in. If you're watching on Facebook, which a gang of y'all are watching on Facebook right now, if you guys can please hit that follow button on my Facebook page. But for those of y'all who are watching here, follow me as well on Twitter, The Pascal Show, one word. Follow me over there. I'm putting out some tweets while we're watching live, all that stuff. So please follow me on Twitter as well, The Pascal Show, one word. And if you want to, follow me on TikTok and on Instagram. All of them are The Pascal Show, one word. Okay. And of course, you know, I just put up my merch link. If you like those designs and you think they're funny and you'd want to support this channel a little bit more, you can go over to my merch store, buy yourself something, okay? Buy your girl, your mans, your loved ones, something nice, okay? Trust me, you'll thank me later. And you can do those designs on several different things: t-shirts, iPhone and Android covers, t-shirts, sweatshirts, you name it. The list goes on and on. Basically, you can get it however you like it right over there on that page. So go check out my merch store. That'd be greatly appreciated. Anyway, we hear Walter Hamada, one of the heads of DC Comics, completely annihilate all these claims that this Amber Heard, or as shout out to Tug or the Umbrella guy, that certain Aquaman starlet would be claiming. She's been putting these claims out here saying that she was not in this movie because of the bad things that Johnny Depp was putting out. We're seeing otherwise. One of the heads has come out and denied all of those claims in less than 10 minutes, y'all. That was a short deposition video. Thank you, Jesus, it was short. But man, did it do so much real quick. Bow, bow, bow. So, with that being said, I keep wondering, like, you know, we're on the last days. We're on the last few hours of this trial. Like, it's a wrap. And if the jury decides no, I will be absolutely appalled. I'll be absolutely appalled if she wins. Absolutely. Then I don't even know what to, then I have no trust and belief in the justice system anymore. Man, there have been so many people that have gotten away with certain things because of the jury, because of the decision from the jury. But this one is so clear cut. if she walks away with a W, my mind will be absolutely blown. Absolutely blown. But I'm going to try to, while they're trying to figure this ish out, where does it go? Boom. We're going to go over here and back to that. There we go. Much better. I like the different angles. Like you can see both. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, as much as we sit here, the court of public opinion, Johnny Depp won. It's done. Court of public opinion. Everyone out here, most of everybody. I understand there's still people out here that are still Team Heard. I understand that. Okay? I get that. But though, the court of public opinion, which a lot of people are sitting here saying that Johnny Depp won. They're all going, he went through some things. He went through some things. Mariana Semino, thank you so much for becoming a member. Dang, yes. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so very much. You know what I mean? I appreciate every little bit of help goes a long way. So thank you so very, very much. Thank you. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this, guys? I'm going to read some of your comments while we figure out what the hell they're talking about. I don't know what they're talking about. I wish I knew. Let me see. I wonder if there's anybody in the courtroom right now that is doing any live tweets so that we can actually find out what the heck is going on here. Let's see. Like, who is in the courtroom right now as we speak? Do we know if anybody is here? Because I know that the DUI guy was not the DUI guy. What's his name? I forgot his name. He looks like he's got the long white hair. I'm forgetting his name right now. Maybe it is the DUI guy. The DUI guy? Let me see. Let's see, maybe he's in there. No, nothing. No live tweets from him. Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's anybody out here that's saying really anything at all about this. But they're back at it again, so hopefully we will see.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize again. We have a few things to take care of. We're just going to go ahead and take our morning recess now for 15 minutes. Do not discuss the case and do not talk to anybody, okay?
Wow. Okay.
Do not do any outside research. Sorry, that was the same thing.
Okay.
Take a break.
DUI guy is in the room. I'm going to be looking at your super chats here shortly as soon as the jury walks out the room.
And if the doctor testifies, then is that WebEx? Okay, so I'll get that set up too while we take the break.
Oh, it's a video.
All right. All right. We'll go ahead and take a break. Let's make it 10:50 to give them time to look at everything. Okay.
10:50. 10:50. 10:50. Okay. Well. Ben Chu is so hilarious to watch. I'm so sorry. Just all the stuff that we've been seeing. It's been absolutely hilarious to watch. And of course, we can't not watch them walk out because every single time something always seems to pop off whenever they leave. Damn. Okay. Well, there you have it. Okay, guys. All right. I got a couple super chats. Law and Lumber. Yeah, let me see. Yeah, I've been following him too. Law and Lumber. Let's see. Let's see what he says. If there's anything he says. Bop, 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 bop. No, he hasn't said anything either. That's weird, y'all. But anyway, let's go through these super chats because I was hoping to see something. Maybe somebody was out here that has some more information on what's going on inside the courtroom because that's weird. Why wouldn't they just, you know what I mean? keep it moving and get to the next deposition. But here it is. Okay. PTC, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Thank you so much. You go newlywed. Thank you so much. Love your channel. Here's the thing. She wouldn't have chemistry with anything but a snake or other reptile. Yep. And she couldn't act her way out of a bathroom. Just saying. Yeah. I mean, it's, rightfully so. Everybody definitely feels some type of way about this ish. Real talk. And yeah, she isn't that good of an actress. I'm sorry. I never was a fan of her before. Definitely not a fan of her now. Especially with everything that she did. It's just so bad. And I'm wondering if she even has a fighting chance of even having a career. That kind of remains to be seen so far. But Berenice, what's up, Berenice? Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Show Pascal some love by hitting that like button. It's really appreciated. Thank you. Yes. And thank you, Berenice. I appreciate you putting in the time. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. But yeah, yeah, I'm wondering what's going on or what has happened. This has been a weird, it's been a weird ride. You know what I mean? It's been a weird day. And I'm with it and I'm here for it, but it has been a little strange. And I'm wondering why all this goings ons. And I wish I knew somebody who was in the room, or at least in earshot of what's going on, that could maybe explain to us what the F is going on. You see what I'm saying? Dog Shorts, thank you so much. Bring out the snakes. Yeah. I would love to see the snakes indeed. Okay. But yeah, this is some crazy. This has been a crazy turn of events. We saw Team Depp try to remove a motion to basically remove the countersuit altogether, because they said it was based on lies. It was based on BS. It was based on baseless claims that have nothing to do, as they said, in their opinion, have nothing to do with Johnny Depp. It all has to do with Waldman, does not have to do anything to do with Johnny Depp. They tried. They attempted. It did not work out. It did not work out. Now, what's next? We had Walter Hamada. Let me pull up, because it's two different videos. Hold on. It's two different videos I have here. But Walter Hamada, let me pull him up. Walter Hamada came up and basically said that the reason why she's in Aquaman 2 less than she was in the first one was because of the lack of chemistry that she had in Aquaman 1. That is a huge claim. That is a huge statement, because it totally demolishes Amber Heard's claims, saying that the reason why she's not in Aquaman 2 as much is because of the defaming comments that were put out by Waldman and Johnny Depp. This proves without a shadow of a doubt that she just sucks as an actress, that there was just no chemistry. Maybe they had a chemistry test for the Aquaman 1. They started doing the movie. Maybe there was chemistry. Maybe, or, in the audition, they said, wow, she's got great chemistry with Jason Momoa. Then they started shooting the movie and started realizing that there was no chemistry at all. So then when they started cutting it, he even said everything was done in post. They made the magic happen in post because there was no chemistry when shooting the movie. Because she's not a good actress. Let's just say that again. It's because she's not a good actress. I'm sorry to say it like that, but them be the breaks, yo. Okay? That is the break. Them are the breaks. She's not a good actress. She didn't know how to turn it on to have that chemistry with Jason Momoa. Now this is going to make me watch Aquaman. Like, literally, I'm going to sit down and watch it again, because I'm going to go and rewatch it. Real talk. Because for me, I'm like, and I wasn't a big fan of it. And it's Runkle. Thank you so much, guys. Uncle of the Bailey. Now, it really is up to, sorry, I'm just trying to pull this up. If you're telling me that you got somebody who's come up, does the audition, goes into her the thing, but she's also a tyrant to her then husband during the time of in this movie and after this movie of Aquaman 1, then writes an op-ed, y'all, saying, oh, you know, I'm a victim, I'm a survivor, so on and so forth, but I'm not going to name any names. Ruins this man's career, ruins this man's life, basically. Chops off his finger even. And yet she's still sitting here saying, no, the reason why I lost this is because of what you guys said in some tabloids and on some twits. Okay. I'm sorry, but when you see this, like from Walter Hamada, basically come up and say, here it is. The reason why is because she was not in this is because there was no chemistry. There was no chemistry, and we had to cut things around. We had to cut things around, and that's it. So you can't really tell me, you really can't even tell me that those claims are even solid anymore. They're not solid anymore. Right there, right here. Johnny really did save the best for last. Now, we haven't seen Kate Moss yet. Kate Moss will be on tomorrow, looks like. It looks like it'll be confirmed she's going to be on tomorrow, I guess, because we still have a whole day. Man, we still got a whole day, y'all. Damn. We still got a whole day. Do you realize that? Today, we still have a whole day of whatever that needs to be seen. So now we got a doctor that's going to be coming in to do what? I don't know what that is. But they're going to come in and talk about God knows what. And then what else do we have for the rest of the day? You know? So hopefully this is a little bit entertaining, or a little bit, let's just say this, not entertaining, but a little bit telling. That one was 8-9 minutes of deposition from Walter Hamada. That was it. Short and sweet. Bing, bang, boom. Done. But these doctors, I'm wondering what the hell do they have? What does Johnny need to say? What does Johnny's team need to say now? We already know that this woman is not right. We clearly know this. So I'm wondering what else is going to be. Amanda Richardson, thank you so much. JD's rebuttal witnesses are doing a good job exposing the lies. Absolutely. You see what I'm saying? It's just, this is so, we got to sit through more. And I'm cool with being like exposing the hell out of this woman. I'm totally fine with that. Exposing the truth. But, you know, there is that part of me that's like, okay, bro, come on now, you know? But I don't know. What say you guys? What say you? What are your thoughts on this so far? I mean, you know, last night we went through a couple things, which was the body cam footage of the penthouse where the infamous fight that went down on the stairwell between Johnny Depp, Whitney, and Amber Heard. Saw that body cam footage. There was nothing there. Then Josh Drew, Rocky's now ex-husband, totally exposed and admitted that Amber Heard was out knocking boots with two other people, literally days, if not weeks, after she had separated, not divorced, but just separated from Johnny Depp. She has no chill. She has no chill whatsoever. but she was knocking boots with Elon Musk and another actress. That was not admitted into the court, though. So as far as the court of public opinion, we all know about that. But that's something that still has not been thrown into the court. But we all know. We all bloody know. Now, there's something I also saw as well. That I wanted to show you guys, since we got like 5 minutes to kill, and it was something I wanted to do as a standalone video, but I ain't got that time. So I wanted to show it to y'all because this is some wild stuff. Let me find it real quick. Been getting a lot of, oh no. Oh, that sucks. That really, really sucks. I wonder why she, that sucks. Well, allegedly, they're saying that there was a moment that happened yesterday before Dr. Smeagol went up and did his thing, that he was talking to Elaine, and apparently the mic was still on, which is also very, very wild. So I wanted to show you guys this as well. He said something along the lines of, "Hey, I will. Is there anything that you need me to lie about?" Let me just show this to you guys. And it's sideways, so just mind you. But this is absolutely insane too. This is right before he took the stand, when he first started, as he was coming in. So you got to listen to it fairly closely. So I'm going to try to turn this up, but this is insane. He's whispering to Elaine. Damn. There's somebody who actually transcribed this, right? And it was something along the lines of him saying, is there anything that you want me to lie about?
Thank you.
Something along the lines of, if you're doing this, that's so crazy. Is there anything that you want me to man, it's so nuts. I'm still trying to figure out what is being said there. That's something I'm still trying to figure out. There's somebody out here that has said something different, or that has hold on, sorry guys. That has said something different. But yeah. We have about, let me see. We got a minute left, y'all. But that's something that I'm still trying to figure out. And it's weird, because if he was to sit there and say, is there anything that anything that you want me to lie about, or something along the lines of that, then that's very telling as well. But I don't see Elaine being against trying to win for by any means necessary. You know what I mean? But that's some crazy stuff, y'all. That's definitely some crazy stuff. But okay, a lot has happened, but there hasn't been a whole lot of information out there yet. Only main thing that we saw so far was Walter Hamada came up and said, hey, she did not end up doing this because of, she's not doing this because she was not in Aquaman 2 as much because of lack of chemistry between Jason Momoa and herself. That is a huge telling situation, and that should be basically the wrap. That should wrap it up, basically. But Johnny Depp's team ain't done yet, so we're going to see what happens here. But they should be up and running by now. What the heck is going on? Let's see. Oops. Nope. Both sides are still, both accounts are still just waiting for this to start popping off. Yeah, I know it's on TikTok. I'm just trying to, I need to find it. I need some time to find it. And Kimberly Showers, thank you so much for the Cash App. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Tamara, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Thank you so much for covering this case. I've been watching it for a couple weeks now, and I truly appreciate your sacrifice and dedication regarding making sure your fam gets the latest and updates. Absolutely, Tamara. I'm more than happy, and I'm honored to do this. I'm having a really great time getting to know all y'all and being a part of this. Being a part of this craziness. Oh, Holly Squires, hello. Welcome to the YouTube channel. Thank you so much for hopping over and becoming a member. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. I really do appreciate that. Pearl Nini, good morning. Good morning. I hope you're doing well out there. I really hope you are. So he said, Debbie said, he said, I will lie in my testimony. Is there something you don't want me to lie about? If that is actually true, that is wild. You see what I'm saying? So if anyone has that TikTok, please send it my way, because I would love to play that, because they kind of put some subtitles underneath to talk about this. And yeah, Wintermute, I really do hope that that the jury caught that or something. But, like I said, that could actually be what he said. And that could also be a fabrication that somebody made up. You never know. You really, really never know. Like they were saying that Amber Heard was talking about saying stuff about quoting a movie, quoting from the talented Mr. Ripley. You see what I'm saying? But that was debunked. That did not happen. The internet can sometimes make things up just for the sake of creating more drama and making things more psychotic and more salacious. Did he really say that? I do not know. But we're gonna have to sit back and see if that's actually what he said. But I could tell. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Elaine and her team are willing to do the dirty just for the sake of doing the dirty. You see what I'm saying? So we'll see. We will see indeed. Man, there are so many meetings going on. Come on. This cannot be the whole day. This cannot be the whole day, y'all. This cannot be the whole day. Thank you, Holly. I appreciate it. I love you back. Thank you so much for your support. Judy Wright, thank you so much for becoming a member as well. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Oh, you just put it in my Discord. I also do have a Discord, guys. Okay. I also have a Discord, so please go check it out. All right. Join the family over there. The family gets in there and continues conversations a lot of time. Judy, thank you so much. I really do appreciate you appreciating the show and all that. Thank you so much, Judy Wright. As she went over, joined on YouTube and went back to Facebook. I really do appreciate it. Welcome to the family, Judy. I really do appreciate it. Okay. Let me see. Let me grab this Discord real quick. Let me see. Where the heck is it? I'm assuming in the main chat. There it is.
All right, yes. You ready for the jury?
Yes.
Okay, so I got it. We're going to look at that a little bit later. Thank you, Debbie. I really do appreciate you sending that to me. We are going to look
Sir,
at that
can you hear me?
a little bit later. But let's see
Can you hear me?
what's
Yes,
going
can you
on
count
here.
to 5 for me?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh, it's WebEx.
I'm just trying to
Okay.
get you on the big screen. We're waiting for the jury. Just give us a minute, okay, sir?
Thank you.
And then he walks away. Okay. I was about to say, where you going? Where you going? Where you going?
Thank you. You can be seated. All right, your next witness.
We called Dr. Kolber.
All right, sir, if you could raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth under penalty of law?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would just object that Dr. Culver appears to have a stack of documents right in front of him.
All right, sir, you can put your hand down, and any documents you have, if you could put them away and just testify from your memory, okay, sir? Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, your question.
Okay.
Good morning, Dr. Kolber.
Morning.
Could you please state your full name for the record?
David Allen Colbert.
And what is your profession?
I'm a plastic and hand surgeon.
And how long have you been a plastic and hand surgeon?
Been in practice for 26 years
Where do you currently work?
at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center
How long have you worked there?
for the past 26 years.
Do you know the plaintiff in this action, Johnny Depp?
I do.
And how do you know Mr. Depp?
I had taken care of him when he had injured his hand.
When did Mr. Depp become your patient?
Sometime in March of 2015.
Thank you, Emmy.
And what type of treatment did you provide to Mr. Depp?
He had a fracture of his finger with soft tissue loss. And so we reconstructed his finger.
When did you perform the first surgery on Mr. Depp's finger?
I believe it was around March 20th of 2015.
And what was involved in that surgery, just briefly?
Debriding the devitalized tissue, putting a hypothermic skin graft, restore some of the soft tissue loss that he had, and then also putting a pin in because he had a displaced distal phalanx fracture.
What was the state of Mr. Depp's hand immediately after that surgery? I'm sorry, I think the audio cut out a little bit. Could you please repeat your answer?
It was injured and had soft tissue loss and a fracture of his distal phalanx.
And what type of cast was on Mr. Depp's hand after you performed that surgery?
It was a plaster splint.
And can you please describe to the jury what a plaster splint would look like?
So it's like a cast, but you don't want to put everything circumferential on it because of swelling after surgery.
I'm going to look for it
So,
again. Press start.
I believe in Mr. Depp's case, it was like the 2 fingers. I think the 3rd finger was the one that was operated on. So these 2 fingers, the 3rd and 4th finger together, and it's a splint with plaster on the top and on the bottom that goes around the hand to protect it.
How mobile was Mr. Depp's hand when it was in that cast?
Well, he couldn't move his 3rd and 4th fingers.
Oh, I didn't see
because
that.
of the bulkiness of the splint. Typically, post-operatively,
I have a list of
it's a
of
more
expected
bulkier
witnesses
splint right after
for the
surgery.
prosecution. If you
So
have
it's,
somewhere I can send it to you.
not very,
Yes.
it gets in the way.
You can put that in the Discord,
Could Mr. Depp grab someone with that
or
cast
you
on
can
his
send
hand?
it to me via Twitter if that works for you as well.
He could attempt to grab someone. I don't know how
Press start.
successful he would be.
And thank
He
you
had
so
his
much for the
index
$10.
finger free and his thumb free, but the other fingers were probably not being able to move.
How long was the pin in Mr. Depp's finger?
About 11 or 12 days.
And how was the pin removed?
It was removed under local anesthesia in my office.
How long did you ultimately treat Mr. Depp for his hand injury?
For several months.
And why was that?
It was a bad injury. It required a few more little office procedures to clean up the tissue. He had an infection as a result of the injury, so he had to be on antibiotics for some time until it finally completely healed.
Do you recall when the infection developed?
It was a few weeks after the surgery, and that's when I took out the pin.
When was the last time that you saw Mr. Depp?
Sometime in 2015. I don't recall when.
And when was the last time that you spoke to Mr. Depp?
The same, around 2015.
Thank you, Dr. Colbert.
All right, cross-examination.
Good morning, Dr. Culber. So you said that this plaster splint was put on after surgery on March 20th.
Oh, come on. Come on back. What the hell happened?
Something like that, yeah.
And it's made of plaster of Paris, right?
Correct.
And plaster of Paris hardens like a cast does, correct?
Yes.
So other than the fact that it's a little smaller than a cast that goes around your whole hand, it's just as hard as a cast that would be put on a broken arm or a broken hand, correct?
Well, it's softer on the side, so the fingers can expand for swelling. So it's not fully, the plaster appears circumferential around everything. So there are areas that are softer to allow for swelling.
But the parts that are covered with plaster of Paris are just as hard as any other cast, correct?
Correct.
And regardless of whether Mr. Depp could have grabbed someone with the hand with the cast on, he could have grabbed someone with the hand without the cast on, correct?
Correct.
Michelle, can you pull up Exhibit 400, please? This has been admitted, Your Honor.
All right.
Oh, my God.
Permission to publish.
Yes, yes, sir.
Dr. Culber, I'm just going to ask Michelle here to just scroll through these pictures, and I'd ask you to take a look at them.
Your Honor, I'm going to object for lack of foundation for these photographs.
They're already in evidence.
With respect to the questions to the witness.
They're in evidence. Thank you.
Michelle, if you could go back up to that, stop right there. Is there anything about the cast that was put on Mr. Depp's hand on March 20th, 2015 that would have prevented him from doing this damage to Ms. Heard's closet on March 23rd, 2015?
Objection calls for speculation.
Overruled.
I mean, he had his other hand available. So
No further questions. Thank you.
All right, redirect.
There it is. That really just happened.
Dr.
Could he have-
Colbert, how many
could he have
fingers
done this
were in
with
the
the other
plaster
hand?
portion of Mr. Depp's cast?
I believe 2 or 3, at least 2 were, and the third one and the fourth one.
And why did you call it a soft cast?
Because it's not fully, plaster doesn't go around the entire hand because you allow for swelling. So there's plaster to protect the fracture. So there's a little plaster on it, but it's on the top and the bottom, but it's not completely circumferential. So there's soft spots to it.
And where are those soft spots located again?
Usually we'd put a piece of plaster underneath the fingers and on top, and then the sides of the fingers, it's soft so that the fingers can swell after the surgery.
Could Mr. Depp have hit someone with the hand that had the cast on it?
He could have hit someone with it. It probably would have injured, damaged the cast.
Did you ever notice any damage to Mr. Depp's cast when you treated him after the surgery?
I don't recall. But nothing that comes to mind.
Could Mr. Depp form a fist with the cast on?
No.
No further questions. Thank you, Dr. Kohler.
All right, thank you, sir. That concludes your testimony. Thank you.
Wow. Okay, so there is a list here.
Your next witness.
Dr. Kimberly Collins.
Plaintiff calls Richard Marks, Your Honor.
Or no, Richard Marks.
Mr. Marks.
Oh, my bad. I'm a little behind. So, Richard
So
Marks.
just a reminder that you're,
He's been on here before. So they're
skips a
calling him
second.
back up again.
Sir, you've already, just a reminder that you're still under oath. Okay, sir?
He's back at it again, Mr. Richard Marks. Whatever you go, whatever you do. Isn't that Richard Marks? Yes, and Jennifer Howell is allegedly going to be, her deposition at least, will be on today at some point. So she on today. Kate Moss is still planned for tomorrow. Yeah, still planned on for tomorrow. So this is interesting. They're bringing him back on. I wonder why. Hit that like button down below, guys.
Morning, sir.
Hit that subscribe button.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Your Honor. Welcome back, Mr. Marks. You've testified in this case previously, but would you just briefly remind the jury who you are?
I'm Richard Marks, and I'm a full-time entertainment transactional attorney. I make deals every day for productions and for individuals.
All day,
I'm in
every
the
day.
trenches negotiating and then making sure the contracts reflect the deals. And I'm very much distinguished from the other side's expert who is not an attorney, who's not in the trenches making deals, is not in that day-to-day process.
And are you familiar with the testimony of Catherine Arnold in this matter?
Yes,
I make deals.
Have you been asked to analyze that
And I'm a
testimony
big
and
deal.
provide opinions in response?
yes.
And generally, what are those opinions?
Well, my opinions are that She's very slick and smooth, but she's not an expert in deal making. Her assessment of damages is built on nothing, and it's wildly speculative.
Are you familiar with Ms. Arnold's opinion that it's customary for an actor to renegotiate the fee for a subsequent picture option in a multi-picture contract when a film is successful?
Yes, I heard that opinion.
And are you also familiar with her testimony that under those circumstances, an actor will renegotiate a 50 to 100% increase in their salary for the next optional film?
Yes, I heard her say that.
Do you agree with those opinions?
Absolutely not.
Why not, sir?
Well, what we're dealing with in this case is a test option agreement. And that's an agreement. It's a multi-picture agreement. And it's the nightmare for people like me. The test is going to take place, let's say, for 10 actors the next morning at 9. And you have to fully negotiate a contract that might cover 4 movies and have it signed before they're allowed to test, so that if they're chosen for the part, we have the full contract. There's no renegotiation.
Blammo.
So you've got a contract for a multi-picture deal. It's usually a franchise, and you negotiate the first movie. And normally, if they get the part, they're the chosen one. They're the Stars Born moment, if you will. They get the part. Normally, their salary is inflated from their normal salary, because now they're going to play a character that could go on for 4 movies. In this case, Ms. Heard's first salary when she got the part was $450,000. If Warner Brothers and DC Comics decided to make a next movie, they could recast her. They had no obligation. All they had was an option. But if they did cast her up front, that they had agreed to more than double her salary, like 2.25 times to get to the $1 million. These are large bumps, if you will. If an actor is on a series, say, they go and they have 5 options. They go up in increments of 5%, 10%, 20%.
Thank you, Mrs. Estrada.
Not these multiples that you see in a test option agreement. And that's one of the reasons that they aren't renegotiated normally. They are in some instances, but not normally.
What's the significance of the test part in a test option agreement?
The test significance is that an established actor usually wouldn't test. They'd be offered the role. Ms. Heard was in a group of actors that needed to be tested to see if the studio wanted to hire
Shoulder
them.
pads.
And then if they hired them, they would be locked up for potentially 4 movies at very lucrative increases, because after Aquaman 1, she gets to $1 million. Aquaman 2, she gets to $2 million. And Aquaman 3, you get to $4 million. These are unheard of bumps if you're going on a normal career and trying to increase your salary by increments.
In your experience, what is customary for negotiations of multi-picture deals?
Well, I think what happened in this case was customary for negotiation of multi-picture deals. And by that, I mean that you assume success. The reason you go from the first Justice League movie where Ms. Heard played Mira the first time, the reason you more than double her salary is you assume success. So you've already built in the bonus that Ms. Arnold was referring to, a renegotiation, if you will, for the third movie. Instead of doubling her salary, Ms. Arnold said it would only be fair to quadruple her salary. And that's just not the way these idiosyncratic contracts work. They're a very small portion of the contracts we deal with.
Are you familiar with Ms. Arnold's opinion that Ms. Heard's salary for Aquaman 2 could have been renegotiated to around $4 million?
I am.
Do you agree with that opinion?
No.
Why not?
Well, as I've said, that would now be after a healthy first payday. It's more than doubled, and now it would be quadrupled.
A little Jack
That's
Nicholson action.
Not
Absolutely.
the way it happens. Walter Hamada, who is the president of that part of the studio, said it doesn't happen. They're not going to do it. Miss Arnold, for some substance, says, well, Jason Momoa got to do it, but she doesn't give us any of the details. We know that Jason Momoa was in a movie before the Justice League. He played Aquaman in a movie not with Miss Mira in that movie. So he had a history before the first movie with Amber Heard. He played Aquaman. We don't know what his contract, the state of it was when you got to Aquaman 2, and she says, unsupported, that he renegotiated. We're not sure what he renegotiated to. But I can say that at the end of the option period, when you've only got one option left and you want that star in more movies, you may renegotiate, but it's not a gratuity. It's, we'll give you more for the last option if you'll give us 3 more options. It's a give and take. And unfortunately, Ms. Arnold didn't give us any of that background or those building blocks. And then I think yesterday she said, and the other actors renegotiated. And again, we don't know their salary history. We don't know their contracts. We don't know anything except she's asking you just to believe her as what I refer to as a professional expert.
Are you aware that Ms. Arnold's opined that but for the alleged defamatory statements by Mr. Waldman, Ms. Heard would have earned $45 million in the last 18 months and then the next 3 to 5 years?
Yes, I am.
I'd like to address some of the components of that one by one with you, Mr. Marks. Are you familiar with her testimony that Ms. Heard would continue to make films for approximately $4 million each following Aquaman 2?
Yes.
Do you agree with that testimony?
No.
Why not?
Well, again, in Aquaman 2, Amber Heard has already had this huge increase. She worked on Aquaman 2 for $2 million. What Ms. Arnold is saying is, oh, she should have worked on it for $4 million, which I disagree with. And I think there is reasons to negotiate. They weren't here in this case. So the $4 million I have a disagreement with. But even if it was at $4 million, or if it was at $2 million, the 4 or 5 movies that Ms. Heard might get might be independent movies. They might be standalone studio movies. They might be passion projects. Every actor has a quiver full of quotes, and their highest quote is for the superhero fantasy journey. Their lowest quote might be for the independent passion project, where they'll defer their salary and almost take nothing to work, just SAG minimum. To assume that she'd get 4 or 5 more movies at her last fantasy quote would be to assume that those are also those type of movies, playing another character. And Ms. Arnold says that Ms. Heard's breakout moment, her Star is Born moment, is Christmas 2018. If that's true, and I don't think it's true, those moments don't normally happen to supporting cast. But if it's true, as a deal maker, you would expect, if you represented producers, production companies, to flock in to take advantage of this hot star and to sign them up. And we have from Christmas 2018 to spring 20, where there is none of this activity. The Star is Born phenomena didn't happen. Miss Heard starred in one series of 8 episodes, and she earned a healthy fee, $200,000 an episode. But that's 5 times less than the million Miss Arnold is tossing out, supposedly based on Jason Momoa's quote. She doesn't prove it or give us facts. And Jason Momoa is not a comparable actor. He's been in a series where they shot 78 episodes, 44 episodes, 21 episodes. He played Conan the Barbarian. He was in Game of Thrones. It's not a comparable.
Unresponsive to.
All right, I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
Mr. Marks, we'll get to some of those issues in a moment, but I want to take you back for a second. I believe you testified a few minutes ago that your understanding is that the last option in a multi-picture deal might be renegotiated under some circumstances. Do you have an understanding of whether Aquaman 2 was the last option in Ms. Heard's contract with Warner Brothers?
Oh, no. Aquaman 2 has not even been released, and Warner Brothers has a 4th option for Aquaman 3 or another movies where Mira appears, that character, and they've agreed to double the salary again. So it's in success, and that assumes that they recast and that they make the movie.
Are you aware of Ms. Arnold's testimony that Ms. Heard would have made several $1 million on endorsement deals, such as the one she had with L'Oreal?
I'm aware of that testimony.
Do you agree with that opinion?
No.
Why not?
Again, this is a business of personalities. We didn't, after the breakout moment that Ms. Arnold talked about, Christmas 2018, we didn't see endorsement deals flocking to Ms. Heard during that 16-month period before Adam Waldman made a few statements in the London Daily Mail, I believe it was. We didn't see those endorsements coming to her. We didn't. What Ms. Arnold shows you is these non-comparable actors, they had endorsement deals. But she doesn't show you when she describes the breakout moment and why she's comparing Amber Heard to these, what I call uncomparable actors, but she's making the comparison. She's saying, well, they had all these deals, why wouldn't she? But for the statements that happened 16 months later, and I guess my primary question is what happened in the 16 months, even if you believe 3 statements in the Daily Mail are the stake through the heart of this Stars Born moment.
Do you have an opinion about Ms. Arnold's testimony that Ms. Heard would have made $1 million an episode in a couple of streaming series following her A Star is Born moment?
Yes, I heard it. I have an opinion.
What's your opinion?
Well, after Aquaman 1, this is a major coup. Amber Heard got that role. She tested for it. She could have been the other 19 actresses or 10 or whoever else tested, didn't get it. She got the role, and she got her salary doubled for Aquaman 1 to $1 million. Now, Ms. Arnold wants you to believe that that $1 million would translate into, she'd get that for each episode of a series. We know what she got for a series. She got a series in that period after Christmas 2018, before spring of 2020. She got a series. It was 8 episodes, and it was $200,000 an episode. And Miss Arnold is from somewhere in a glib way saying she got a couple series and $1 million each. And I can tell you, as someone in the trenches, rarely does an actor get $1 million for a series episode. And again, in those 16 months, there were no offers for series at $1 million an episode. In fact, her only series is the 200,000. And if you look at her resume, the series that Ms. Heard were in, I think the longest one ran 8 episodes. Jason Momoa, if you were to believe Miss Arnold, and somehow Jason Momoa's agent broke their confidentiality in the agreement, and he had a series at $1 million an episode. If you're to believe that, Jason Momoa has had a series with 78 episodes, with 44 episodes, with 21 episodes, with 18 episodes, with 21 episodes. He was in, again, there's not a comparableness there.
We spoke a few minutes ago about the test option agreement. What's the significance of the option part of that agreement?
The option part of the agreement gives the employer, the studio, the option. They don't have to do anything. They have an option to either employ you at a very healthy salary to play this role or not. They can recast the superhero role. You just have to think of how many actors have played Batman or Superman. They can do what they want. And indeed, since there's no contract, they only have a choice to exercise their option or not. They might say, we're not exercising unless you reduce your compensation. Who knows what the negotiation would be? But it's not a contract until the studio exercises the option, and they don't have to.
What's the alternative to an option agreement?
Well, the alternative is most agreements in Hollywood, you're hired to play the role. Or once you exercise the option, then it becomes, for that picture, an agreement like others in Hollywood. You are now hired to play that role. So most contracts are guaranteed, you're hired to play the role. In an option agreement, once they exercise the option for that movie, it becomes a guaranteed contract.
Are you aware that Ms. Arnold testified that Ms. Heard was released from her Aquaman 2 contract and then subsequently rehired?
I heard that testimony.
Is that consistent with your experience in the film industry in connection with these multi-option contracts?
No.
Why not?
Again, studios don't do things they don't have to do. As we heard Mr. Hamada, the president of the studio, say, you either exercise your option or you don't. They exercise their option. He denied releasing and then rehiring. And in my experience, in almost 5 decades in the business, doing this type of work, not talking about it, not consulting. I mean, I have, I heard Ms. Arnold say she'd been an expert 100 times. I'm a transactional lawyer. I do this occasionally. Basically, it's not a contract till they option it, and they pick up their option, and at that point, it's guaranteed contract, and then different rules apply to it.
In your experience in the industry, do studios typically comment on those types of actions that they're taking with respect to options?
No, just like Mr. Hamada said, they don't need to comment on it. They either exercise the option or they don't. In Hollywood, silence is the default. You play no card before it's time. And the cards there were exercise the option or not. And I was surprised by Mr. Hamada under oath, basically saying that there was this discussion of chemistry. That
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
I think it was an in-court statement this morning, I believe, Your Honor. That's fine.
It's the same hearsay that you were, it's hearsay like yesterday. I mean, it's hearsay.
I'll overrule the objection. Go ahead.
What?
I didn't hear.
Go ahead, sir.
Overruled. You can continue, Mr. Anderson.
I was
What?
surprised to hear Mr. Hamada say that they talked about chemistry. That would normally be behind
What a-
closed doors.
Objection, hearsay.
Because it
it's
can't
hearsay.
help your relationship with the actor.
Unbelievable.
You're either going to exercise or not. And
Oh,
that
my
was
God.
quite a bit of candor from someone at his level. And so therefore, I take it at face value. I think he felt that he was under oath and he was telling the truth, but it wouldn't
Objection,
be.
Your Honor, is
I'll sustain the objection.
Mr. Marks, are there circumstances where a studio would be more likely to say something about not using an actor again in a franchise?
Yes.
What are those circumstances?
Once they've exercised the option, once the contract is guaranteed, the studio still has the right to pay the actor, but not play them, pay or play them. And that is a rare condition because you've hired the actor, you've got to pay them, but you say, go home, we're recasting. In that situation, after you've exercised the option and the contract is guaranteed, if you pay off the actor, that's normally commented on. That becomes a bit of information because it's not normal.
Is that circumstance different from Ms. Heard's contract with Warner Brothers for the Aquaman movies?
Oh, yeah. Ms. Heard's contract, again, it was just an option. Either we exercise it or we don't. And if we exercise it, she's in the film. If we don't, she's not. Until we exercise it, we have our right to recast or not make the movie. And even after we exercise it, we still have a right to recast and not make the movie. We just have to pay her salary.
Wow.
Do you understand that Ms. Arnold compares Ms. Heard's career trajectory with that of other actors, including Jason Momoa, Gal Gadot, Zendaya, Ana de Armas, and Chris Pine?
I heard that.
And what's your opinion of those actors as comparables for Ms. Heard?
Okay.
Even Ms. Heard's agent, Jessica Kay, said that 4 of those actors weren't
objection, Your Honor,
comparable.
hearsay.
I believe same response, Your Honor, that it was in testimony that was played in court earlier this week.
I mean, that's not what she testified to. I mean, he's characterizing testimony that was from days ago, and I don't even think she testified to that, Your Honor.
But you can cross-examine over.
Here we go.
Overruled. You may continue, Mr. Marks.
Again, they are not comparable. Jason Momoa was Aquaman. Chris Pine was Captain Kirk.
Thank you.
Gal Gadot was Wonder Woman.
Thanks.
Zendaya has been working on Disney Channel since she was 13. She's in all the Spider-Man movies.
She's
She goes by
talented.
one name. Ana de Armas, when she was in a movie that they call, her breakout, it was as a nude poster. She's been in an ensemble piece, Knives Out. These are not comparables. Now, Ms. Arnold stuck to Jason Momoa, who's the most non-comparable because of his history and his career. But she didn't give us the advantage of telling us what his contracts were, what he renegotiated to, what he earned. She didn't give us any of those building blocks. She just she set him up as a comparable and then said what Ms. Heard should earn, but she never gave us the salary of Jason Momoa or the other comparables. And she built like this house of cards on nothing. She showed us with her words, the beautiful clothing that the emperor was wearing, but we could see, if you know the business,
Objection, Your Honor.
that he wasn't.
Beyond the scope of the question.
All right, I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
Okay. You were just speaking about Mr. Momoa as a comparable. Are you aware that Ms. Arnold compares Ms. Heard to Mr. Momoa as an actor with equivalent franchise experience who was able to renegotiate his salary for significant increases in bonus?
Yes.
What's your response to that opinion?
again, he didn't have comparable franchise experience to Miss Heard. He was Conan the Barbarian. He played Aquaman in a movie that Amber Heard was not in. He played Aquaman, not a supporting character like Mira. It's just not comparable. And you can say the words, but I saw nothing from Miss Arnold to back it up, something to build on, which if she was a negotiator in the trench, the studio negotiator would say, okay, so show us, where's the comps? Let's talk numbers, because ultimately that's where we have to get to, not just because you say it's so. We just don't believe you. You've got to show us.
In your experience in the industry, what factors influence the negotiation of the terms of a film agreement with an actor?
Well, I mean, first, it depends on the film. If the film is $1 million movie and everybody's deferring their salaries, that's one thing. If it's a superhero movie, that's another. But for deal makers and negotiators, the best predictor of what the deal should be is past earnings, precedent, comps. You also look at the budget of the movie, what it can bear, because if Jason Momoa's comp is $10 million, but the budget's $10 million, obviously he has another price for that movie. But the best predictor of future earnings is past earnings. And I didn't see any Miss Arnold talk about past earnings at all, except the earnings in this rarefied superhero 4-picture deal, where instead of incremental increases, which you normally see, it was multiples increases. And then when you get on a series, the big renegotiation was when the network has no more options. Until then, the actors on the series get 5, 10, 15 small percentage raises. They don't get multiples. They get the multiples if it's a success and the studio wants to continue making the series and they want to keep these characters. That's when the renegotiation happens. Here, even if we believe Ms. Arnold, after Aquaman 2, there was still an option waiting.
Man, I was hungry.
At a big price, double the previous payday.
Whew. Yes.
What's the significance?
This
of
guy's
the timing of
annihilating the
Waldman
last
statements to the opportunities Ms.
expert.
Arnold claims Ms. Heard lost?
Well, the argument, as I understand it, is that Ms. Arnold says that Ms. Heard lost all these opportunities because of those losses were caused by Adam Waldman's statements 16 months later. So I think the timing.
Sure.
Man. Okay. So this man is annihilating Miss Arnold. Just to be completely honest. Let's keep it real. That woman had no credible. She wasn't even credible. That's all I'm going to say. She was bad. She's bringing in people that don't know the game. It was trying to compare Amber Heard's career to Zendaya, to Jason Momoa and Chris Pine. It's ridiculous, yo. It's absolutely ridiculous. So he's annihilating her right now.
Mr. Marks, what's your overall assessment of Ms. Arnold's opinions in this case?
My overall assessment of her opinions is that they're not worth the paper they're not written on.
They're trash.
She knows something about our business, but not about negotiating deals. She may have gotten someone at the Endeavor office to breach confidentiality, but she never laid out the building blocks.
Excuse me, objection. You have to stop talking, Mr. Marks. Thank you. beyond the scope.
Yeah, Mr. Marks, can you just limit your testimony to your opinion about
Okay.
Ms. Arnold's opinions, please?
My opinion, as someone who's made deals as a deal maker for almost 50 years, is that she calls herself an expert, but she's not. She doesn't have the background. She doesn't have the day-to-day knowledge. And her testimony that I heard did not back up her bottom line.
She doesn't even
If you
know
wanna get
movies.
those figures, you have to show
For crying out loud.
why they're deserved. And again, she was constructing a Jenga without the bottom pieces. It does not hold up under scrutiny by someone who makes deals.
No further questions.
All right, cross-examination.
Good morning, Mr. Marks.
Good morning.
So you agree that studios use comps to negotiate deals, correct? With actors?
Sometimes they do.
And you have an issue with the comps that Ms. Arnold used, correct? As you testified to.
I have an issue with the comps that she says she used that she didn't disclose.
The comps being the actors that you just talked about. She did disclose, she disclosed the actors.
She disclosed the actors and budget figures from their movies. She never disclosed their salaries and salary history as comps.
You're not offering a different set of comparators that should be used, correct?
I'm saying if you are going to,
That's not my question. Are you offering a different set of comparators than what Ms. Arnold?
No
used?
problem, Buster. Appreciate the support.
I'm not here offering comparators. I'm saying what she offered were not comparators.
That was my question. You're not offering comparators, correct?
No, I would say that Ms.
That was
Heard's
my
comparisons
sir,
are where you
respectfully, that
look.
was my question. Motion to strike after the.
All
no.
right, we'll strike after
So-
that. Just answer the questions. Mr.
All
Marks. Thank
right.
you.
Now, you're a deal maker, correct?
Yes.
What actors have you negotiated for in superhero movies?
Well, recently I've negotiated for Chris Pratt in a superhero series for Amazon. I've negotiated a deal for
That's what's
Michael Douglas, not in a superhero movie, but a historical movie. I've negotiated recently a deal for Paul Rudd and Will Ferrell on an Apple series. Billy Crudup on an Apple series. Those are the recent talent deals.
What actors have you negotiated for in a superhero movie?
Chris Pratt. He just said it.
As I sit here now, I can't remember a superhero movie that I've negotiated. I've certainly negotiated over my career franchise movies and fantasy movies.
And that's all the same.
Your Honor, so it's no, you haven't negotiated with for any actors for superhero movies, correct?
So you would define like, I don't know, Jungle Book isn't a superhero movie. It's more of a fantasy.
Okay, so no, correct. Your answer
Okay,
is no.
all right. So as I sit here, I can't think of a Marvel type superhero movie that I've negotiated. Although I know there's one or two in there.
Now, you testified and you agree that Mr. Momoa negotiated his multi-picture contract for Aquaman 2, correct?
I heard Mr. Hamada say there was a renegotiation, but no facts were pro-offered, such as he didn't have an option. His options were out, what he was earning and what he renegotiated to, and he is Aquaman man. So yes, I did hear there was a renegotiation.
And you understand that his salary went from $3 to $4 million to $15 million.
If you tell me that, I haven't seen his contract and I haven't heard any Yes, $4 million.
Would you agree that the money Amber was making on Aquaman 2 or 3 would be her market rate for future studio movies?
I would think it would be her rate for future studio superhero movies, but not necessarily studio movies that aren't superheroes. That could be standalone. That could be other type of studio movies.
But for studio superhero movies, it would be $4 million, correct?
If I was Miss Heard's agent, that's where I would start. Assuming everything was equal, the budget of the superhero movie that she was in the ensemble. There's a lot of ifs to look at, but all things being equal.
You agree that Aquaman was a breakthrough role for Miss Heard, wasn't it?
It's the first movie of that ilk that she makes, but she is not Aquaman. She is Mira.
But it was a breakthrough movie for Miss Heard, correct?
For her, it's a breakthrough movie to be in that film and in the ensemble. Absolutely.
And she was the female star of that movie, correct?
I believe so.
You would
Yeah,
agree that for
she
all
is.
of the actors Miss Arnold listed as comparables, their career trajectory went up after their breakthrough, correct?
She didn't give us the raw materials to look at, but I'll take your word that all those unrelated actors in unrelated films, except for Jason Momoa, they went up.
In your
As
experience,
did Miss Arnold's when
in-
she went from 1 to 2.
in your experience, can you identify an actor or an actress who's not been able to get a new studio movie after a breakthrough performance in a superhero movie?
As I sit here now, I haven't been asked to opine on that, but there are lots of supporting characters in movies that don't appear in the next movie.
True.
But a female star in a breakthrough movie in a superhero movie, can you identify any actress who's not gotten another studio movie after that?
Well, after Miss Heard's breakthrough in 2018, she did get Aquaman 2.
Aquaman
And-
2 was already, she already
Okay.
had the option for Aquaman 2,
All right,
correct?
so she did. Miss Heard did not get any movies after 2018, long before the Adam Waldman statements.
Other than Miss Heard, can you identify any actor or actress who's not gotten another studio movie after their breakthrough in a superhero movie?
As I sit here now, I haven't been asked to research that, and I can't. That would
Okay.
be a normal thing.
And you're not providing an alternative number for Miss Heard's damages, correct? For the jury?
Correct. I'm not providing an alternate number. I think she's been more than adequately paid.
I'd move to strike after no, I've not been provided another number. That's all. I mean, my question was you're not providing another number.
I think it's in fairness and the full answer of the question, Your Honor.
It was a yes or no question. He said his answer was no.
I'm not going to strike it.
Okay.
There you go. Keep it in.
All right. No further
All
questions.
right. Redirect.
Have mercy. Fascinating stuff.
Mr. Marks, in response to some questions from Mr. Ladehaft, you were discussing some franchise and fantasy movie agreements that you've negotiated with actors. Could you just describe some of those for us?
I've had such a long career that I mainly forget what I've done, but I negotiated all the contracts for Pinocchio, if you will, that was produced. Is Coming to America, the original, is that a fantasy movie? The Golden Child, is that a fantasy movie?
I want the knife, please. Yeah.
Yeah, and by the
Hell
way,
yeah.
I may have negotiated contracts, and ultimately the film wasn't made. But as I sit here now, those are the only ones that come to pass. If I was looking at my resume or going through my files, I might think of others, but there isn't a deal that I haven't made.
And I think you also testified in response to Mr. Nadelhaft's questions that you have negotiated some deals for Chris Pratt and Paul Rudd. Do you recall that
Yes,
testimony?
you did say
Yes,
that.
these are for a streaming series.
Do you happen to know if both of those actors have played Marvel superheroes?
I believe they have, but don't quote me because that's not my genre.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Marks. You can, you're free to stay in the courtroom or you can leave, okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, your next witness.
He killed that. He did a great job. I think he did a great job.
Plaintiff calls Michael Spindler.
Michael Spindler.
Michael Spindler. Michael Spindler.
You've testified
Okay, he's an
previously, correct, Mr.
economic
Spindler? All right.
damages
Just a reminder that
expert.
you're still under oath, okay, sir?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Oh, we've had him on here before. I forgot. They're bringing him back.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Spindler.
Good morning.
Can you remind the jury who you are and what you do?
Yes, I'm Michael Spindler. I'm a forensic accountant.
He's back.
I'm a CPA, a certified fraud examiner, amongst some other certifications. I'm with B. Riley Advisory Services, a national firm that does forensic accounting, bankruptcy and restructuring work, and business valuations and appraisals. I've got over 40 years of experience.
Are you familiar with the testimony rendered by Ms. Arnold in this matter?
Yes, I am.
Do you understand that Ms. Arnold testified that Ms. Heard has suffered economic damages resulting from three statements made by Mr. Waldman?
Yes, I do.
Do you have an opinion of that claim?
I do.
All right.
The only part that I feel like Mr. Deal Man, Richard Marx did, the only part that I think that he like made a mistake on was when they redirected and Team Heard was asking him like, hey, you remember, do you know if Chris Pratt and Paul Rudd are at all in any of these Marvel movies? And he responded as if he had no clue. Now that could be a brain fart on his part. Like he was having a brain fart where he was like, off the top of the dome, I can't think of all these deals I've made. I'm sure there's a superheroes comic book movie somewhere in there. But at the same time, like I'm shooting everything off from the hip right now, sitting on the stand. That was an opportunity for him to scoop up a ground ball, and he didn't remember. That doesn't mean that he doesn't know anything. I mean, you got another one. You got the Miss Arnold being asked all kinds of questions about movies that she knew nothing about, whereas he's rattling off all kinds of movies that he's been a part of. So, I think that outside of that, yes, wasn't the greatest answer in the world, but people have done
Mr.
worse.
Spindler. Now, you indicated that you would listen to Ms. Arnold and she testified on behalf of Ms. Heard relative to economic damages. Have you formed an opinion as to the testimony and opinion rendered by Ms. Arnold?
Yes, I have.
And what's that opinion?
It is not adequately supported and it is unreasonable.
There were multiple elements to that analysis, both damages that related to her film career and to endorsements. Have you analyzed both those issues?
Yes, I have.
What is your opinion of the claims that have been asserted relative to the film career and endorsements?
Okay, well, first of all, with respect to her damages calculation, there was no calculation per se. She initially looked at these comparable actors and seemed to use that as a basis for numbers. She didn't provide the underlying calculation. She didn't provide underlying support. And then it appeared as though in her testimony, she backed away a little bit from that, but she still suffers from the issues of not providing detailed calculations or support for where those numbers come from. And she still, to some extent, appears to be using some kind of comparable analysis.
All right. What is the type of analysis that you think is appropriate here?
Well, I think, and as you heard from the last witness, I think that something that is anchored in facts, taking a look at historical compensation as a basis for anticipating future compensation.
Had you looked at Ms. Heard's prior compensation?
Yes, I have. I've looked at tax returns that were provided for the period of 2013 through 2019.
Why do you want to use historical earnings?
Well, once again, you want an analysis that's anchored in fact. I don't believe that Ms. Arnold has done that in her analysis. So here we've got some actual data, we've got some historical compensation, and as the last witness mentioned, that often provides somewhat of a basis for future anticipated earnings. In addition, I believe that Ms. Arnold herself said that she had hoped to be able to look at a renegotiated salary for Aquaman 2 and then use that as a basis for future compensation, that being the new kind of base, if you will.
All right. Were there any years in particular that you focused on in your analysis as to Ms. Arnold's testimony?
In terms of the historical compensation?
Yes.
Well, for 2013 through 2019 in total, her compensation was around $10 million for all those years combined. In 2019, the last of those years, her compensation was somewhere between about $2.6 million and $3 million. Now, that's a good year. That's known as a clean year.
What do you mean by a clean year?
Well, for example, 2019, you had Aquaman was released in December of 2018, and that was a successful film. So in 2019, you've got the benefit of that kind of success, and you also don't have any potential impact from the alleged defamatory Waldman statements that occurred in April of 2020. So 2019 is clean of all that.
What did you understand Ms. Arnold's methodology to be?
Her methodology initially appeared to be based on these comparable actors that she had identified, and theoretically, the compensation that they earned, although she doesn't identify what that compensation is or provide any support for it or any calculations.
What is your opinion of that methodology from an accounting perspective?
That methodology was unsound. It's just unsupported. There are no numbers. There's no data that she provided as support for that.
What methodology did you understand Ms. Arnold to adopt at trial?
Okay, well, it looked like somewhat of a mix and match approach. She used different approaches, I believe, for different elements of the damages, although it's still a little bit unclear to me, a little bit vague. But there are 4 basic components that she was looking at, and we can go through those in any order you wish.
All right. With respect to the television series portion of her analysis, what do you understand that methodology to be?
Okay.
Objection, Your Honor. May we approach?
All right.
I mean, this guy is just basically trying to prove without a shadow of a doubt that there has been no change in her monies because of anything that has to do with anything that Johnny Depp said or Waldman said. So when it comes to this, it just makes me wonder what is making them, approach the bench. Approach the judge, Very interesting. But yeah, this guy is obviously a credible witness in my personal opinion. I mean, he's more credible than the other people that have been coming out representing for Team Heard, which is weird because you'd think that there would be, you'd think that they would be coming in Heard would have come in. Team Heard, I'm sorry, would have come in with stronger experts that actually knew what they're talking about. But so far, we haven't really seen anybody on their side. And of course, these guys are going to come back in and just scoop up, just keep on denying and confirming things. And yep, never again. Yeah, they're nervous because numbers don't lie. Absolutely. Absolutely. Credible experts. Yeah, we're back at this whole thing again, but like, man. Yeah, we'll see what's going on here. But this is Aaron J. You ain't wrong. Strong experts won't lie. She brought in whoever was willing to take her money. Absolutely. And it's interesting too. I need to point this out. The motley crew that she put together for this trial really is kind of a reflection of Amber Heard herself. Not very well thought out, in my personal opinion, not very well thought out, very messy, not credible at all. Some of them were very volatile. Some of them almost seemed like they would never take accountability for their actions if they were on the stand being accused of doing certain things. You see what I'm saying? They'd point the blame on everybody else. It's a very interesting vibe and energy with that crew that she put together, that she slapped together with duct tape, spit, and dental floss, but you can clearly see that none of them were credible enough. She did not even have many. I mean, she had people that were her friends on, but they're all video depositions from years ago. So it's wild. Giovanna, thank you so much for the $2 Canadian. I really do appreciate it. But this is very, very weird. Are they going to unmute this? Unmute this, man. There we go.
The earnings from television shows. Did you analyze what historical earning Ms. Heard had during the period that you were concerned with relative to television shows?
Well, yes, during 2019, she entered into a contract in July of 2019 to appear in a television series at $200,000 per episode.
All right. What about endorsement deals? Did you look at what she had made on endorsement deals during that period?
She did have a contract with L'Oreal at $1,625,000.
All right. With respect to her movie roles, what were her historical earnings during that period?
Well, certainly for the most recent years, you had the Warner Brothers deal, which was a 4-picture deal. The first film was $450,000. Then the first Aquaman was $1 million base fee. Then $2 million for Aquaman 2. And presuming that there was an Aquaman 3, that would have been $4 million.
Okay. Why do you look at historical earnings as part of your analysis?
Because you want your analysis to be anchored in facts. You want it to have a sound methodology, and you want to come up with a reasonable result. So if you take a look at, for example, the analysis that Ms. Arnold did, it didn't appear to be.
Let's just look at the analysis that you're doing. What you said, I think, is you wanted them anchored in facts. Why?
Because that provides a sound basis for coming up with something with reasonable certainty. There's AICPA or American Institute of Certified Public Accountant guidance with respect to reasonable certainty. And those are the basic elements of it.
Thank you. No further questions.
All right, cross-examination.
Here we go.
Hello again, Mr. Spindler.
Good morning.
I'm going to ask you a few questions that may refer to the statements in Amber's counterclaim against Mr. Depp. When I refer to those statements, I'm going to refer to them as the Depp-Waldman statements. Do you agree that we can both be on the same page what I'm referring to when I say that?
That's fine. You can use your terminology.
I'm sorry, there's objection, sir. If you hold on.
Can we approach?
Okay.
Again. Yes, here we go again. Here we go again. So here it is, guys. I'm wondering why they need to approach. I'm sorry, there's not much to really say here, you know. He's doing his job and he's doing the numbers, and the numbers don't lie. That's basically it. You know, this has been one wild first half of the day. Dag nab. But I will say this. We do have a lineup of what's coming up, or at least what's planned to come up. So, again, Jennifer Howell will be on today at some point today.
So,
At
Mr.
some
Spindler, when
point.
I refer to the Depp-Waldman statements, you understand me to be referring to the statements in Ms. Heard's counterclaim against Mr. Depp.
We
Correct.
also have a witness.
I'll understand that, yes.
A witness from
Now,
the Hicksville incident
you're here
as well.
to provide a rebuttal
That's crazy.
opinion to Ms. Arnold's, part of Ms. Arnold's testimony, correct?
Correct.
You're not providing opinion on whether Ms. Heard suffered defamation by Mr. Depp, correct?
That is true.
You're not offering an opinion as to what any of the underlying facts relating to whether Mr. Depp abused Amber, correct?
That's correct.
You're not offering an opinion as to the magnitude of damages that you believe Ms. Heard may be entitled to if she proves defamation by Mr. Depp. You're just reviewing what Ms. Arnold has said, correct?
That's correct.
And you said that you want your analysis to be accurate
Damn right,
in
nerd.
facts, right?
Anchored in facts.
Anchored in facts. You'd agree that what an actor earns in one period isn't necessarily reflective of what he or she may earn in future periods, correct?
Correct.
And that's because
there can
an
be some
increase in the
variability.
number of roles,
Yes.
an increase in the number of
Damn,
roles
he
may
has to
lead
get close
to
to that
greater
microphone.
income, correct?
I'm sorry. Could you repeat that? I was speaking. I didn't hear.
One of the reasons that what you earn in one period may not be reflective of what an actress may earn in future periods is because an increase in the number of roles may lead to greater income, correct?
The number of roles or the particular project itself. Yes.
Sure, getting better roles may lead to greater income, correct?
Correct.
And the same is true for an endorsement. As an actress's profile grows, the amount of money that she may be able to earn from endorsements grows as well, correct?
It can.
So
It depends.
what Ms. Heard earned from, say, 2013 to 2019 that you testified to isn't necessarily reflective of what she might earn over the next 5 years, correct?
Not necessarily. It is a good indicator, though.
And you'd agree that from 2013 to 2019, in terms of earnings and star power, that Ms. Heard's career trajectory was on the upswing, correct?
There was a slight increase during that period of time in her earnings from 2013 through 2019.
And you'd agree that that was as a result of getting more lucrative roles, right?
Yes.
Now, you're not a causation expert, right? You're just a damages expert.
That's correct.
So you're not testifying as to whether the Depp-Waldman statements caused her to lose any roles, correct?
That's correct.
And you're not offering any opinion as to whether the Depp-Waldman statements kept her from being considered for roles that she otherwise would have been considered for, correct?
That's correct. I'm not testifying on causation issues.
And you can't speak to what opportunities may never have materialized for Amber as a result of the Depp-Waldman statements, correct?
Yeah, I've not done those calculations.
And you don't have an opinion about whether or not Ms. Heard could have renegotiated a contract for Aquaman 2, correct?
That was not part of my work.
And you don't have an opinion on the impact that additional exposure or press coverage or magazine covers or interviews would have had on Ms. Heard's career, correct?
Correct. I'm just looking at Ms. Arnold's calculations.
You've never served as an expert witness before to calculate damages based on lost roles by an actress resulting from defamation against that person, correct?
I've been involved in defamation cases, but I've not done the calculations as an expert witness and testified thereto.
And there's never been an instance in which you have served as an expert witness in a case to calculate damages based on alleged defamation against an actress, correct?
Correct.
And you're not offering any expert opinion on what impact the alleged defamation by Mr. Depp has had on Ms. Heard's career, correct?
I'm sorry, one more time?
You're not offering any expert opinion on what impact the Depp-Waldman statements by Mr. Depp has had on Ms. Heard's career, correct?
Other than taking a look at Ms. Arnold's calculations.
And you're not offering any expert opinion about what impact, if any, social media coverage of this case or of Ms. Heard may have had on Ms. Heard's career, correct?
You're correct. That's other experts.
Can we approach?
No
her?
further questions. Thank you.
All right.
Oh. I mean, if you want to approach, but he just said they have no more questions. So let it be. Go on back. He's like, if that's it, that's it then.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Spindler. You can have a seat in the
I don't know
courtroom,
what
or you're
was
free to
said
go.
there.
Thank you. All right. Your next witness.
Okay, the next witness. I'm thinking
Plaintiff calls Doug Banya, Your Honor.
Okay. Can you spell the last name for me?
social media guy. Okay.
B-A-N-I-A.
I'm thinking that they're going to go through all the boring stuff first, all the tech stuff, and then all the salacious stuff is going to happen. All the salacious stuff is going to happen after. I mean, you know, all the technical stuff that we need to go through, we're going to be going through those first, I think. And then all the other stuff, because allegedly they have somebody coming in from somebody who was a witness at the Hicksville incident. We also still have Jennifer Howell.
Right.
And I think that's, and Candace Davison
So
Goldbrand,
just a reminder that you're still
a
under oath.
representative
Yes, sir.
from the Children's Hospital. So there's still a lot of salacious stuff coming up today,
Good
allegedly.
afternoon, Mr. Banya.
Good afternoon.
They're going through
Can you
these quick.
briefly reintroduce yourself to the jury, please?
Yes, hi, Doug Banya.
Thank you, Dr. Ed.
I am from
Salute,
Nevium
brother.
Intellectual Property Consultants based in San Diego. I value intellectual property. I provide litigation support in infringement and
Hit that
defamation
like button
cases,
for me, y'all.
as
Get it
I'm
past
doing
1K
today.
for me today. I'd
And
really
I use,
appreciate it.
internet
And don't forget to
social media
subscribe.
Analytics and both of those
We've
services.
seen him before. We already know what he do. Come on now.
Since you last testified in this case, the jury has heard testimony from Ronald Schnell and Catherine Arnold. Are you
Schnell!
familiar with their testimony?
9!
Yes,
Were you asked to analyze their testimony and provide opinions in response?
yes, I was.
Have you formed opinions in response to the testimony of Mr. Schnell and Ms. Arnold?
I
Schnell!
have.
Generally, what are those opinions?
9!
Generally, Mr. Schnell provided no evidence of a correlation between the Waldman statements and the hashtags and the spikes of those hashtags on Twitter. Second, based on my
Sie bleiben
internet
zu
and social
Hause.
media analytics investigation, I've concluded that the alleged comparable actors that Ms. Arnold came up with are not comparable with Ms. Heard. And then thirdly, Mr. Schnell and Ms. Arnold both failed to provide any evidence of a causation as it relates to the Waldman statements causing any economic harm to Ms. Heard.
Let's dig into those opinions a little bit. You're familiar with the testimony of Mr. Schnell that there are more than 2.7 million alleged negative tweets related to Ms. Heard between January 2018 and June 2021?
Yes.
And what's your understanding of how Mr. Schnell identified those particular
Schnell!
2.7 million tweets?
Yeah, so essentially Mr. Schnell chose hashtags that he felt were negative towards Ms. Heard. Those hashtags range from justice for Johnny Depp, Amber Heard is an abuser, Amber Turd, and the hashtag, we just don't like you, Amber. So then he used those hashtags and he searched through using the Twitter API.
Hashtag, we just don't like you,
various
Amber.
Tweets, and then came up with any tweets that were using those hashtags.
Oh
Did you
my
conduct an
God.
analysis of those tweets?
That was hilarious.
Yes, I was given that exact, the data
That was
Mr.
hilarious.
Schnell used on a hard drive. So yes, I dug into that data.
Hashtag, we
And
just
what was
don't
the
like you,
purpose of your
Amber.
analysis?
So what I'm trying to do,
Oh,
what's at
thank
issue
you.
of the case today at this point is, were these tweets, did they contain the Waldman statements? That's what where we're at right now.
Here we go.
Are the Waldman statements. So I wanted to analyze those tweets to determine which ones, and if any, contain the Waldman statements.
Oh
And
my
what's your
God.
understanding of what the
Amazing.
Waldman statements are?
So my understanding is there's three Waldman statements that were published in the Daily Mail. The Daily Mail is a
I'll work on
UK
it.
tabloid, and Mr. Arnold
My God.
was quoted in three of those articles.
Freaking hilarious.
And those dates were on April 8th, 2020, April 27th.
Speaking of merch, check out my
and
merch.
on June 24th.
It's linked in the top of the
And
top
my
of the chat.
understanding those quotes, sorry, I think I said the wrong name, but those quotes are the only remaining in this case.
Oh my God.
Did you analyze the
just don't like you,
timing of
Amber.
the tweets that we were talking about as compared to
Amazing.
the timing of the Waldman statements?
And that's exactly what I did. So I wanted to look
Deborah.
at the Waldman statements, look at the dates that they happened, and then analyze those as compared to the Twitter data that I had.
Have you prepared a demonstrative that reflects that aspect of your analysis?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
Okay.
Did you?
Bishop Counsel.
There you go. Show it to him. Show it to her. Show it to him. Or not. And let's get to talking. We just don't like you, Amber. That literally just happened. Oh my God. I didn't know that was a hashtag that even existed. But apparently it does. Wow. But you'll see he's gonna debunk all the stuff that Schnell said before. Just so you know. Okay. You're welcome, gamer lover. That's what I'm here for. Keeping it light, keeping it fun. Man, oh my gosh. I have so many stories to tell y'all. And oh my God, there's so many new things that have been popping off. So many stories to tell you guys. I got some serious groundwork to do when this whole trial's
1293
over.
will just be marked for identification.
We just don't like you, Amber. That literally was a hashtag, y'all. Can you believe that, Ish? Man, her career's over. Over.
Mr. Banya, can you explain to the jury what this demonstrative shows?
Yes. So this shows the total hashtags and tweets that Mr. Schnell was analyzing. This is the summary data. They're tweets that are running from January 2018 to June of 2021.
Wow.
And again, these are related to the four hashtags that I discussed. Whenever I get an assignment such as this, when I'm dealing with a defamatory statement that's allegedly gone viral online, where there's economic damages involved and there's a lot of data involved, I like to take the data and I like to do a 30,000 foot view of the data to see what I'm looking at, to see if there's anything interesting, odd, different about the data. And the first thing that I noticed is 35%
Berenice,
the tweets were prior to the Waldman statement.
that is a fair
So
theory.
again, remember, my assignment is to determine if the Waldman statements
But
are
they're
part
also
of the tweets
debunking
that Mr.
everything.
Schnell analyzed. So obviously, if these tweets were prior to the Waldman statements, in no way could they have anything to do with the Waldman statements. So that was the first issue that I noticed. Then
Fatal.
I noticed
You ain't wrong.
what I like to call kind
Big
of
dumps of
the
money. Our
alleged
careers down the
defamatory
drain.
time frame.
Absolutely.
And as I discussed, that's when the Waldman
Dumps like
statements were
turd.
published. That's the date down here. You know, the first one was in the beginning of April, and the last one, which is the third one, was at the end of June. But what I found interesting is only 2% of all of the tweets
Look at that.
happened during this Waldman statement period.
Blammo.
So really, these are just observations.
Nothing.
And for me, there were red flags that I made note of, and then I just continued with my analysis.
You know what? I'll do that.
What other work have you performed
I'll do
in
that,
connection
Star.
with forming your opinions about the purportedly negative tweets?
Yeah, so now I realize that 35% are irrelevant and 2%, you know, only happened during this important period. I just continued to dig into the 2.79 million tweets that Mr. Schnell provided.
Schnell!
And Tom, can we take that one down? And Mr. Banya, have you prepared another demonstrative that depicts that analysis that you were just describing?
Yes.
Okay, yes. Okay, let's see if he has an objection. No, I'll give you time to look at it, sir.
Okay, I just put a poll up. Go check it out. I said, who do you think will take home the W on Friday? And it's just two different things, Amber or Johnny. It's very simple. Click on it. Thanks to Star for coming up with the idea. Okay. And it's
All
on
right,
my
plaintiffs-
YouTube chat, by the
If
way,
you
for
turn
those of
the
y'all who are
microphone,
watching on
No
Facebook.
objection as a demonstrative.
So
Okay.
hop over to
All right,
YouTube and
plaintiffs,
click on it.
Exhibit
I'd love to hear your
1294
thoughts
will be
on that.
marked for identification as a demonstrative.
I love you too, live and learn. My brother, how you doing, my brother? Hopefully Canada's not too
Mr.
cold
Banya,
right
can you
now for you.
explain what this demonstrative shows?
Yes, this is showing the various spikes as it relates to the hashtags that Mr. Schnell testified about.
Prior.
This is actually an exhibit or a demonstrative that he used in his testimony. What this is showing are the largest spikes related to the hashtag Justice for Johnny Depp.
Wow.
I don't know if you remember his testimony or any of his demonstratives. The other three hashtags did spike at the same time, but a very small spike. So what I'm showing you here are the 6 top spikes
Luma.
in Mr. Schnell's analysis.
Yes. W means win.
And what's important here
Win,
again
y'all.
is the very first spike and the largest spike again happened before the Waldman statements. So what I'm trying to figure out is what tweets were related to the Waldman statements. So this number 1 spike, which is the biggest spike, was prior to the Waldman statements. So it's irrelevant to the case. And then the second thing I noticed that was interesting here are the dates in gray right here. This is the time in which the Waldman statements happened. And you're going to notice, as we discussed before, only 2% of the tweets happened during that time.
Hilarious.
But I found it very interesting for such a viral event that has potentially caused such economic harm. There's no spikes in this area. And actually, you're going to see that Mr. Waldman, his statement came out here in the first April 2020 article.
Damn good
Then the
point,
second
Fatal
one
Flaw.
came out here. And then the third one came out in June. There's actually a
They might be
downward
doing that.
use
Hold
of
tight.
the spike.
He might be doing
downward
that.
use of the hashtags. So I'm not seeing any correlation as it relates to the Waldman statements and any spikes here as it relates to the hashtags Mr. Schnell chose.
Did you analyze each of the spikes that are depicted here?
Is that the
Yeah, so what I did is
Judy, it's at the top
I
of
looked at
the-
the 6 different spikes
of the chat.
and you're going to notice that each spike represents a month. So the second spike, is July 2020, and so on to the 6th spike going to April 2021.
Yeah.
And what I did is, I don't know if you remember my last testimony when I went into Google search, and I'm able to go into Google search. I went in and I typed in Amber Heard, And then after you hit search, you can use the tool and you can go back in time. And I chose each 6 of these dates to go back in time to see what was the media talking about back then. What was the general public being fed as it relates to Amber Heard back during those spikes. And what I found is none of them, well, actually I analyzed the top 3 search results because they represent 50 to 70% of what people click on. And I realized that none of them had anything to do with the Waldman statements.
Boom.
Are you aware of Mr. Schnell's testimony that the tweets using the 4 hashtags he looked at were mathematically correlated?
Yes.
What does that mean?
So what Mr. Schnell is saying, which is irrelevant to this case, is the 4 hashtags that he randomly chose, they tend to go up and down together. And that's why he had these spikes here. So the correlation there is how those 4 hashtags work or dance together going up and down. But first of all, the hashtags have nothing to do with the Waldman statements. And the fact that there's a correlation with the hashtags is irrelevant to this case because we're dealing with the Waldman statements, which none of that correlation analysis he did had to do with.
And you see nothing.
How do you know that the correlation doesn't have anything to do with the Waldman statements?
Can I clear this about all? No. Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, I know because that would happen right here. If when Mr. Waldman, one of his quotes was published, you would see a big spike right here. And then you would see maybe a little noise down here. And then the third time you might see second time a big spike, and the third time a big spike. That's not here. So that's telling me there's no correlation between the Waldman statements and this hashtag use. And then I've actually provided evidence that there's no correlation because I analyze each of these spikes and none of them had to do with the Waldman statements.
Is mathematical correlation the same as causation?
No.
Why not?
I mean, correlation is simply a relationship between 2 or more variables or 2 or more things. In this case, the correlation question is, when the Waldman statements were published, at the same time, did you see a correlation with spikes in these hashtags? And again, can we clear this? You see none of that right here. It's actually a downward trend. There's no spikes, there's no correlation. So, again, Mr. Schnell provided no evidence of any correlation.
What correlation opinion did he provide during his testimony?
Well, he provided the correlation that the 4 hashtags, spike together. But again, the hashtags have nothing to do with the Waldman statements, and the facts that they're correlating or moving together is irrelevant to the case because the case is about the Waldman statements.
So what is causation then?
So causation is where one thing causes a change in the other. So as it relates to this case, did the Waldman statements cause Ms. Heard to have economic harm? In other words, did the Waldman statements cause Ms. Heard not to make as much money in her career? And again, Mr. Schnell provided no evidence of this. Ms. Arnold provided no evidence of this. And as a matter of fact, during Ms. Arnold's testimony yesterday, she didn't even know what causation was. She was asked, the difference between causation and correlation, and she said that she's not a semantics expert. We're not talking about the words. When it comes to damages, you have to prove causation prior to calculating damages. So there is no causation that's proven here. Therefore, a damages analysis is not appropriate.
Did you hear Mr. Schnell testify that he agreed with your opinion in this case?
Yes.
And what's your understanding of the opinion that he agreed with?
Well, he agreed that he failed to link the spikes in the hashtags on Twitter to the Waldman statements.
Did he try to do that?
He tried to do that. But again, his analysis was looking at the word Waldman and looking at the word Waldminian and then trying to say that 25% of the tweets included those two terms. But first of all, Waldman isn't the issue here. It's the Waldman statements. And Waldminian, I don't even know what that is, but it's not relevant to this case.
Damn right.
We can, I think, take that one down, please, Tom. Mr. Banya, what other work have you done in connection with forming your opinions about Mr. Schnell's testimony?
Again, the assignment was to determine if the Waldman statements were part of the tweet. So I continued to dig in, to the data. I believe the next step is, now that I've excluded, the 35% that was before the Waldman statements because they're irrelevant, I wanted to really analyze from the April 2020 forward to see if any of those tweets, contained the Waldman statements.
Did you prepare a demonstrative that reflects that analysis that you did?
Yes, I did.
Your Honor, may I approach again?
All right. Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this guy's coming in with the facts. Nothing after Waldman made those statements had any change.
No objection as a demonstrative.
All right.
There was a spike when he dropped it, and then it disappeared.
1295 as demonstrative and published to the jury.
So, Mr. Banya, did you consider the content of the statements made by Waldman as part of the work that you did?
Yes. Yeah, so here I reviewed the Waldman statements again. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to determine what, if any, tweets included the Waldman statements. So what I went back to the Waldman statements, and I came up with key terms and key themes for those Waldman statements, which are listed here. The Waldman statements were about abuse hoax, sexual violence hoax, and fake sexual violence. So what I did is we're now dealing with a 1.2 million tweets because, we're starting in April 2020 because that's when the Waldman statements started. And what I did is I searched the 1.2 million tweets, for these three phrases. And I determined that there were 751 tweets that included those key terms, which is 0.06% of the 1.2 million. And then as I was sifting and sorting and analyzing this data, I realized that a lot of these tweets had the exact same language. It was interesting to see it was the exact same tweet because I'm analyzing the language to see if it matches one of these three. I realized that a lot of these tweets were retweets, likes, or shares. So therefore, I eliminated any of those, and it came down with 95 unique tweets. And then what I did from there is I analyzed those to determine if any of these terms were in there. And I identified 5 tweets that were related to the Waldman statements.
Do any of the hashtags Mr. Schnell analyzed include the words from the Waldman statements?
No, they don't. And, because I am rebutting Ms. Arnold, her testimony yesterday, she was saying that the Waldman statements caused these hashtags. Then throughout her testimony, she walked that back and admitted, no, none of these tweets have anything to do with the Waldman statements. They don't include the Waldman statements. These hashtags are only hashtags that Schnell, in his opinion, felt that they were negative towards Ms. Heard.
Based on your expertise, what are your overall opinions about Mr. Schnell's testimony and the Twitter hashtag data?
Mr. Schnell provided no evidence that any of the tweets were related to the Waldman statements. Mr. Schnell, there's no correlation there. He also provided no evidence that there's any causation that, the Waldman statements caused any economic harm towards Ms. Heard.
Your Honor, I'm about to switch to a different topic. I don't know if you want to break now or push.
All right. It's going to be a little while, I assume.
A little bit more, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and break for lunch, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
Do not discuss the case and do not do any outside research, okay?
Okay. 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 Well, as you can see, they're not done with this guy yet. They ain't done with him yet. But he came in with the heat, y'all. He's coming in with the information that we all need. But let's hear what she says. This is a lunch break, too.
Come back at 1:40 then? Is that right?
140. 140. All right. 140. Okay, guys. So there it is, y'all. This is what we've seen so far. It has been insane. It's been a weird roller coaster ride of a morning, and we only halfway through. You know what I'm saying? We ain't even at the end. We've only just begun, baby. Which has been wild. Now, Mr. Bayang, it's the Bayang, Banya, Mr. Banya, him coming in and just circling back on certain things that he did research on regarding the hashtags, also also just debunking all the things that the other analyst did before as well is extremely helpful, because let's keep it real. A lot of it, when the first guy, I forgot the first guy's name. It's leaving me right now. But when he came in to do his research, it was weak. To me, it was just hella weak. So now he comes in and he's circling back around, basically saying, "Hey, I did all this research and nothing shows anything affecting Amber Heard." When Waldman put out any of his tweets, any of the stuff that's been put out, none of it is affecting Amber Heard. Again, they basically are coming in, circling everybody back around, the bangers, right? The important people. They're going through the technical crap first. And then after they get done with Banya, or Banya, I don't know how, Banya or Banya, after they get done with him, it looks like there's a gang of other people that are going to be in here that have to do with more of the salacious stuff, like I said earlier before. I want to show you guys this really quick, because I think this is something very good, and it gives you kind of an assessment of what's to come. Okay. So let's take a look at this, and shout out to everybody who's been sending this to me in tweets and all that. I really do appreciate this, but I wanted us all to take a look at this. This is the lineup for today, just today alone. So if I'm correct, we already did Richard Shaw. We did Kimberly. I don't think we did Kimberly Collins yet. The forensic pathologist. I don't think we did. Okay. But we've already done the children's. We haven't done Candy Davison yet. Okay. We did Walter Hamada. We did Richard Marks. We have done Mike Spindler. We are now on Doug Banya. All right. And then there's a couple other people here. We already did Dr. David Kubler or Kulber, okay, who is the hand doctor of Mr. Depp. So we still have Dr. Kimberly Collins, if I'm correct, Candy Davidson, Goldbraun, who is a representative of Children's Hospital, which will also confirm that Amber Heard did not pay not one damn dime to them either. Okay, just like the ACLU came in and said, yeah, we got a couple ducats, but not all of it. Where the money at, Amber? Same thing's going to happen over here. And let me just say this really quick. This is about the children, y'all. This is about the children. Do you understand? She promised Children's Hospital monies, and she didn't even give them that money. So they're going to be coming. This person's going to be coming in to talk about that too. And she pledged it. She didn't donate it. She pledged it. Semantics. I pledged it. Did you donate it or not? I pledged. Shut up, Amber. Anyway, as you can see, so we still have Dr. Kimberly Collins. We still have Candy Davison Goldbraun from Children's Hospital. We still have Morgan Knight, and she is a witness of the Hicksville incident. You know, the one where he was doing a full cavity search looking for a baggie of cocaine. Yeah, where he walked up to somebody, a girl that was putting her head on Amber's shoulder and saying, "Hey, do you know how much pressure it takes to break a human wrist?" She literally said all this stuff. I'm not lying. She said this in her testimony, y'all. This is what he said, apparently, whilst being high on shrooms and MDMA or something of that sort, right? Then they walk into the trailer that they were staying in, and then he destroyed that place. But then at the same time, after destroying that place or during destroying that place, he did a full body cavity search looking for a baggie of booger sugar inside of his then wife's body. Yeah. So Morgan Knight will be on to talk about that, allegedly, if we make it enough, if there's enough time. I don't know. You see what I'm saying? We still got, when they come back, they got 5 hours, a little less than 5 hours. So I guess hopefully they'll be able to scrunch all these things in. And then last but certainly not least, we still have a deposition from Jennifer Howell, which we talked about last night. And if you don't remember Jennifer Howell is the one that basically is, it says it right here, the former friend and boss of Whitney Heard, aka, her last name now is Henriquez, but aka Whitney Heard, the one that literally said, hey, all that Whitney has said and what Amber has said are lies because I've heard something completely different. So with that being said, they got there's plenty of people left to go through down the list. They might call an audible. They might change their mind and say, okay, you know what? We don't need Kimberly Collins. Let's just say we don't need Dr. Collins anymore. Or you know what? We don't need Morgan Knight anymore. I don't know what they're going to do, but you got to realize there's still got to be time for them to go and allow the defense to actually cross-examine them as well. So this could take a long time or maybe not. We will find out, though, soon enough here. It's going to be a wild rest of the day, or wild last half of the day, no doubt. But I'm here for it, and we're going to be watching it. So, guys, this ends part one of our watch party because this is the lunchtime. All right, this is lunchtime. So I'm going to kill this feed, get some lunch, get my life in order. Okay, take care of some things because I do got some things that I got to take care of later on today. But I will be back in about an hour, a little less than an hour, because they say they go back on at 12:40. Okay. So, 1:40 their time, Eastern Standard Time. So I'll be back on to watch with you guys. All right. Go grab a lunch, go get something to eat, go stretch your legs, take the dog out for a walk, let them do their boo-boo out there, not in your bed. Okay. And I will see you guys in the next feed. Okay. In the next show. Part 2 is coming up in less than an hour. So come on back when it's time to get popping. And trust me, hopefully they don't stay with Doug Banya forever. Or Banya, sorry. Hopefully they don't stay with Banya for very long. Like, let's get, wrap it up, B. Orchestral music, let's get to the stuff. We already know. We already see it. Proven. None of this has anything to do with her losing her job. She just sucks, everybody. She's a bad actress, man. We can't keep the baby in the picture. Okay? Sorry. We just can't. So anyway, guys, hit that like button down below. Crush it. Make a scream out your name, okay, before you head off. All right? Send it past 1K if you don't mind before the end of this stream. I would really, really appreciate it. And of course, if you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe button. We'll be back in less than an hour. I will see you guys very, very soon. Have a great lunch break, and I'll see you very shortly. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. And I'll see you guys at 12:40 Central Standard Time. This is the Pascal Show. Bye.